1.
Stand up, New York Knicks fans. I am super excited yet again for our third installment of Talkin Knicks, and I got Simeon Russell back on the channel. Sim, how you doing, my man?
I'm doing pretty good. Not bad at all, man. Just I survived the heat. So I'm doing good. I survived the heat.
Oh, my God. I just want to say hello to a couple of people in the chat. Scott, what's going on? I saw Bobby Woodruff in the house. Afghanistan City for real. Rogue Dog Thane, Martin, Ralph Unreal. Thank you to everybody for being here. Poppy Chulo, Chad, Jessica, I saw in here. Thank you guys for being here. You mentioned the heat, Sim.
Oh, my gosh. It was.
Oh, my God. It felt like 107, I think, last Saturday.
It was bad. It was just ridiculous to be out there in the heat. Luckily, I didn't have to spend much time in the heat. I had a AAU tournament. The AAU tournament was inside of a hotel. We have this hotel in the National Harbor right here in Maryland. It's about 15 minutes from where I live. And I mean, the hotel is huge. It's a hotel / resort. It's got like 2,000 rooms in the hotel. And right. I mean, inside the hotel, there's like a park inside the hotel or something like that. It's just huge. And there's, the tournament had like 30 basketball courts inside the hotel, 350 teams.
My God.
250 college coaches and scouts. It was crazy.
And most importantly, the air conditioner worked.
And the air conditioner worked. That was the amazing thing. There were actually times. Now you figure there's 30 courts and you figure it's going to be hot in here. No. Right. There were times when I was like, where is my sweater? It is freezing in here. But it was a good thing because it was blazing hot outside. So that was a good thing.
That's a good problem to have when it's blazing outside. Like you said, I think I would take freezing a little bit. Go get yourself a sweater because I was working outside and it was absolutely brutal. Now, of course, when it comes to the Knicks, Summer League, of course, is over. Mm-hmm. We don't have now preseason until, what is it? We said end of September, is it? Early October?
Yeah. Yep. I think October the 7th, I think is the first game versus Washington here in Washington, D.C. I'll be at that game.
That's right. That's like a home game for you. Didn't they play Washington last year in preseason, if I remember correctly, or am I wrong on that?
They did. They usually play the Wizards. They usually play the Nets. No Nets this year. I was a little disappointed about that, but there's no Brooklyn Nets this year.
Because I remember you went to that game last year too in preseason.
Yeah. Yep. As a matter of fact, I went to the game in preseason last year, and at the preseason game, I got to meet Walt Clyde Frazier for the first time, and I also met Mike Breen. And then I was.
That's when you met Trier's brother,
exactly.
Right?
That's when I met. Well, it actually wasn't his brother. It was a childhood friend. He said.
No. That's why I put the quotes.
Yeah. And then, I met him. He talked about that Trier believes at the time Trier didn't have a contract on the team, so he was like, "Listen, Trier, Alonzo believes that he believes that he belongs on the team. He wants to make the team. He doesn't want to spend any time in the G League, blah, 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 blah." I did the video. That night? I think, that night, I was doing it live. And then the next night, or maybe it was that night, Alonzo Trier sent me a direct message on Twitter.
Right.
And he was like, that's not my brother. That's my childhood friend. But we're close like brothers. And I was like, oh, okay. And then he said, I have 2 siblings and da-da-da-da-da. So, it was cool. It was funny.
Well, that's good. Yeah, and then, of course, you had his mother on the show. I remember that, too.
Yep. We had his mother on the show. She came on the show and talked about, some of her past, some of her history. His mother, and his aunt came on the show.
And they were pretty.
A little bit about their history and their how they came to the U.S. Some of the experiences that they've had in the U.S. And they were doing it to they were supporting. Zoe was having a campaign to raise money for a women and children's shelter in New York. So it was pretty good. It was pretty good. And I still talk to him from time to time as well, just over text. As a matter of fact, during Summer League, they were supposed to come on the first summer league game. They were supposed to come on the show after the game and talk a little bit, just about, what Zoe was doing over the summer, their expectations for the Knicks and those type of things. And the earthquake happened. So.
Yeah, and then Trier got hurt too, right? He didn't finish out summer league.
Right.
But Trier's an interesting player this year. He really is. We haven't talked that much about him, and of course, we're gonna take more phone calls tonight. Tim and I were talking before we went live. We're like, what the hell are we gonna talk about?
Yeah.
There's not a lot. I mean, you got Julius Randle tried out for the is on the practice squad or whatever it is for the Team USA.
Yeah. Yep. He's in training camp, I guess it is. I don't know what it means. I don't know if it means they seem to invite all kinds of players every year, every time they have it. I know there's been a lot of players that dropped out and are not playing. So I don't know if it means that he's trying out for the team or what. I would really like for him to make the team. I think that would be a great thing.
Yeah.
And the one thing that I like about it, though, is that he should be in really, really good shape come when the season comes. Because
it's a great point.
Yeah, if you're going into training camp, and if you do play games, that's even better. But if you're in training camp, you're going to be, they're going to make sure that you're in shape. You get to play with, some of the top players in the NBA. So that's good, right? And then if you actually play, and you're getting playing time, you're going to be in pretty good shape. So you should come into the season ready to go.
Yeah, I think that'd be interesting to see if Randle cracks that team. Of course, we always say it, coming off a career year, 21 points, 9 rebounds. Now, obviously, a lot of that is because Davis went down, right, with the injury. So, it helped out his stats a little bit, but he got an opportunity and he played well. And that's why he got the contract he did. But going back to Trier, I'm excited about this kid. If he can carve out a role, that's what I worry about. But he really played well last year. I was surprised when I went back and looked at his numbers from last year, because when I did the roster breakdown video, I looked and I'm like, he shot 45%. I was surprised, and he's got an opportunity to really be a very good NBA player, in my opinion. A guy off the bench. I don't think he'll ever be a starter, but it's going to be interesting to see if he can carve out a role in this team. Trier. It'll be really interesting with the depth in the backcourt.
Yeah, right, with the depth in the backcourt. The one thing about Trier is this, that I believe that Trier is the kind of guy that can really, for this team, I don't know if we have many. Maybe Julius Randle. I don't think Bobby Portis is the guy. Maybe one day Dennis Smith Jr. Alonzo Trier is a guy that I believe can close out a game for you.
Yeah, he's got that killer instinct. He's not scared to put it up.
He's got that. I mean, he shoots well from the field. He's strong and he can absorb contact and still score the basketball.
The thing with Trier, I feel like he's the type of player that for him to get a lot of minutes in a game, he's got to be hot. I feel like if he misses his first 3 or 4 shots, he's not going to get a lot of minutes that night. But if he comes in and he's hot and he's carrying the offense for a 7-8 minute stretch, he might get 20, 25 minutes that game. You know what I'm saying? I feel like he's not going to get consistent minutes on this team.
Yeah, at least right now, he probably isn't. I'm one of the people, and probably one of the few people, that think, I don't know if it would be for this team, that think that one day down the line, and I don't know when that would be, maybe when he's 28, 29, 30 years old, Trier could be a starter on the team. You think so? I think so. I know there's people that say, well, he's kind of a tweener. 6'4" is kind of a tweener. I think he's about 6'5", right? I met him in person. I think he's about 6'5". I just feel like, I think defensively he's strong. I'm not saying he's an all-world defender, but I think he can defend the basketball. And
right.
He does a good job defending the basketball, I think. I just believe he's strong. No one's taking the basketball from him. I think what he needs to do, in my opinion, to become a guy that can start in this league, and I know there's a lot of people that disagree with me, and I'm cool. I believe he needs to learn how to catch and shoot, because he's the kind of a player that needs the basketball in his hands to score.
Kind of like a DSJ in a way. Yeah. Not that he's as good of a passer, but a ball dominant player.
Yeah, ball dominant player. If he can learn how to catch and shoot, and he can learn how to spot up, I think that would be, and learn how to come off screens, catch the ball, and get up in the air. That to me would set him apart as a shooting guard, or not set him apart, but make him a shooting guard that could be a starter in this league. If he remains the player that he is, a guy that can only get his off the dribble, then no, I don't think he'll be a starter in the league.
Yeah, I personally don't. I mean, that would be great. Maybe. You never know. I mean, obviously, he's already kind of exceeded expectations. For a guy who went undrafted, he had a great year last year. I think he averaged 12 points, 45%.
Yeah, man.
But I don't see that. I don't think he'll ever be a starter. I think he'll be an impact player, though, in the league. I think he'll definitely be a guy that could carry the offense for a 7-8 minute stretch off the bench, which is very valuable. I mean, you see players like that all the time on really good teams, and I think he could definitely fill that kind of role. I don't think he'll be a starter because of the things you said. He's a little undersized to play the 2. I don't think he has the skills necessary to be a starting point guard. But I think he could be a very valuable guy off the bench.
Yeah. I mean, I'm interested to see how he develops and what he's working on. I know his mother told me that he's been working all summer long on his game. Of course, she didn't tell me what exactly he was working on, but that he's been working all summer long, really working hard. He's staying in Los Angeles. Him and I forgot who it is now. He's got an apartment with somebody and lives down the street from Brandon Jennings.
Oh, okay. Former Knick for a year.
Yeah, he's got an apartment. Who's the guy from Detroit? Stanley Johnson. He's got an apartment with Stanley Johnson in L.A. They live down the street from Brandon Jennings. If you see, there was a picture on Instagram of Brandon Jennings, Stanley Johnson in a room, and they were like maybe arguing about something or something like that. So I asked her about that. She said, "Oh yeah, Brandon Jennings lives down the street." And of course they know each other because they were from Seattle. Those
okay.
Seattle.
So they got that connection.
Yeah, so they got that kind of a connection. But she said he's been working hard on his game, and he can't wait to get back.
I hope so, man. I like Trier. I just, like we always say, where are the minutes going to come from? That's what you got to worry about. Because Ntilikina's got to get some minutes. Obviously Peyton's going to get his minutes. Obviously DSJ, and then the shooting guards, they got a lot of guys there too. So it's going to be tough for him to get minutes. But I like I said, I think he's going to be the type of guy that one night might only get 7 or 8 minutes, and there might be some nights where he doesn't play at all, and then there might be some nights where he's got the hot hand and he plays for 20, 25 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gonna be an interesting season on that front. With the team being so deep. I mean, has to be the deepest team in the league. Has to be.
It's really deep. I mean, because there's guys, in my opinion, and we said this last week, guys that are 13th, 14th, 15th on the roster that would get minutes on not all teams, but a lot of teams in the NBA.
Exactly. Going back to Julius Randle and FIBA basketball, I was looking at the roster that Frank Ntilikina is going to be playing on.
Okay.
And if Frank Ntilikina can play on that roster, if he gets playing time, I don't know, if he's going to start or whatever it is, but if he can get playing time, they got Evan Fournier, they got Nicholas Batum, they got the center from Utah. They got some NBA talent on that team.
Gobert.
They got Rudy Gobert, right?
That's a good. I tell you, that's a good team France got there.
Exactly. That's a nice little team. They have NBA talent on that team. If he can crack that lineup, and of course they got Frank Ntilikina too, who's in the NBA. He can crack that lineup and get significant playing time. I feel good about that. And I mean, I think they played 3 or 4 games or something like that at the beginning of September. And then they go into tournament play or whatever it is. I'm going to be looking and trying to watch those games. I don't know. They'll probably come on at 3:00 in the morning or something like that.
He played in that. Did he get hurt last year? I remember. Did he miss that last year? I remember he was supposed to play in that. Maybe he did play in that. I can't remember.
He decided not to play.
Was that what it was? Yeah, I remember something came out when he didn't play. He didn't end up playing last year.
Yeah, he decided not to play so that he can stay and work with the team and all that kind of stuff. I would have liked to see him. I wonder why. I don't know if it's just because he's a 3rd-year player or it has something to do with him playing, with his national team, but why he decided not to play in summer league. Because I would have liked to see.
It's a good question. Maybe he's got an ego. I don't think so though. But maybe he's like, I'm a third-year player. But yeah, it's a good question. Maybe the Knicks felt like they had so many young players on their roster that they wanted to give them the opportunity to get more minutes. But that's a good question.
And that could be too. But Kadeem Allen was there, so.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a great question. He's fighting for a job on this team. He's fighting for any minutes at all, to be honest. So
exactly.
And as many reps as he could get with this team would have been valuable for sure.
Exactly. That's where I'm at with it. Like, you're fighting, you see who was picked up. Now, the decision was probably made well before free agency. Right. So,
and Ntilikina has also got to realize he's not a Perry guy. Perry didn't draft this guy. Perry, he's not a Perry guy.
Yeah.
So Ntilikina, I agree. He should be. I agree with you. He should have been in summer league.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know if they asked him to or not, but he should have been.
And exactly, that's the thing. We don't know how the inner workings are and how the inner workings went. Maybe they said, "Hey, don't worry about summer league. You go ahead and get ready and play with your national team." There's going to be better competition there anyway.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. You got names like Gobert. I mean, there's nobody like Gobert in summer league.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's hopefully you can progress there. When does that start, FIBA?
In September.
Okay. Yep. So all right. So you got something to talk about there in a couple of months.
Right. And it could have been, that they decided, you know what, instead of you working, with, these guys that's coming out of college, blah, 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 da, da, da. Go ahead and work with the national team, because if you're practicing with those guys, you might be getting a little bit more better practicing with NBA players than practicing with guys that's just coming out of college.
Very, very possible. And maybe they wanted Barrett to develop some time at the point, and maybe they had certain guys on their roster that they wanted to put in certain spots, and they said, Ntilikina, you're better off doing what you're doing with the FIBA. It's possible.
You never know. You never know. The one thing I will say is I'm glad he at least showed up to support the team.
Right. Well, something that Porzingis did not do last year. I remember he got ridiculed for that.
Yep. Yeah.
That's interesting. And I guess we could talk about Barrett briefly. We've talked about him a lot, but Barrett, like we said, very encouraging. I made a video on it. I know it was far-fetched. I made a video, can he be the next James Harden? And I knew people I was going to get responses. People were going to be like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? I don't necessarily think he's going to be the next James Harden. I just think both their games have a lot of similarities.
Right.
I think that, and obviously we all hope that he's a much better defender than James Harden, because James Harden's defense is non-existent. But on the offensive side of the court, I do think that they have a lot of similarities. I think that they're both really good around the rim. I think they're both good at creating contact. I think they could both play the 1 and the 2 position. A good distributor of the basketball. Obviously the left-handed thing, that they have in common. But a lot of people brought up some other names that I thought were interesting. Scottie Pippen was one. Penny Hardaway was another. Who do you see? Whether it be a current player or a former player, when you look at RJ Barrett in terms of, who do you compare him to?
Yeah, I see Ron Artest with more passing skills. That's what I see.
So you think he could be an elite defender? I know a lot of people say, well, he has the skills to be a really good defender. Yeah. But he didn't show it in college.
Yeah, not as much on the defensive side. I'm saying offensively, on the offensive side, his body type, the way that I see, like Ron Artest wasn't fast. He could handle the ball a little bit, right? But he wasn't fast. He got to the rim with craftiness, with skill. He developed a jump shot, so that he could knock down the jump shot. There was a point in his career, and if it didn't get derailed with, the mental illnesses and those type of things, I think he could have been I think he made the All-Star team maybe twice. I think Ron Artest could have been maybe a 6-7 time All-Star. There was
for sure
in his career. Yeah, there was a point in his career where he was averaging 20 points a game, and he was a lockdown defender.
There was a point in his career, and by the way, I saw Bavit ask when we take a call. We'll probably take him in maybe 20, 25 minutes. Usually we wait about an hour. Tonight we'll probably take him a little sooner because there's not a lot of news. But as far as Ron Artest goes, there was a point in his career where he was an MVP candidate, for a year or two. I mean, when you factor in how good of a defender he was, I mean, he was he was arguably one of the top 2 or 3 two-way players in the league for a good 3-year stretch.
Yeah. And I'm looking in the chat and I see people say, RJ is better. You know what? He may be better. He may end up being better than Ron Artest, but just the style of play is what I liken it to. Just because he's not super athletic. I don't think RJ Barrett is super athletic. Obviously, Ron Artest wasn't super athletic. That's kind of what I see from him. I also see like Paul Pierce-ish a little bit.
Oh, that's an interesting one.
I
always said Paul Pierce was the worst athlete I've ever seen that was a great basketball player. No, I didn't get to see Larry Bird, in his heyday. I was born in 85.
Yeah.
But a lot of people said Bird was similar to that. And ironically, they both played for the Celtics. But whenever you'd watch Paul Pierce play, you'd feel like you're watching a guy play, especially, as he got older. You felt like you were watching a guy play at the YMCA, but the guy always got it done.
Yeah, Paul Pierce was so slow.
Yeah.
Right? It was slow. He had no lift getting off the ground.
Right. But he always got it done.
He got it done somehow. And I feel like that with RJ. Not that he can't get off the ground and stuff because he's still young. But he doesn't have that super athleticism, right? That, you see guys coming to the league with. He plays at when he plays at his pace, kind of almost like James Harden plays at his. James Harden plays slow. I'm not saying that he's a slow player, but he plays slow. And
he's boring to watch. He really is, but he's very effective.
Exactly.
We know that.
Right.
Yeah.
And RJ Barrett is he plays at his pace. He's not going to just have a big explosion past you and get to the basket, but he'll find a way to get there and be crafty around the rim. He's probably not going to make a quick move and come down the lane and dunk it on you, but he'll make a nice move, maybe another move, and use his body to fend you off and then get to the rim and get fouled at the same time. So those type of players is what I liken them to.
One thing, I was watching I didn't know this. Now, I don't know if I think he said he writes with his right hand. I think Stephen A. Smith was talking about that he's got to get better with the right-handed dribble, and I agree with that. When you watch the film, he's really, he's weak with that right hand right now. But I didn't know. Barrett said that he's a righty, but he just learned how to dribble with the left.
Yeah, that's what he said. He's right-handed as far as doing things like probably eating and writing and stuff like that. But on the basketball court, he plays with the left.
It's interesting. I mean, it's definitely an advantage to be a left-handed dribbler. I don't think I mean, it's obvious. I saw a stat. I think 8% of the league are lefties. So it's just something off-putting when you're trying to defend a guy. You're used to defending a guy that dribbles with his right. You know what I'm saying? So I think that could be a big advantage for Barrett in the league. It is.
I'm gonna tell you, as a basketball player, as I've gotten older, I got a little more used to it, and I understand how to defend him. But when you're younger and you're playing against someone who is left-handed, it confuses the heck out of you for a little bit.
I'm sure, yeah. I'm sure.
It's a little bit tougher to defend them because, like you said, 92% in the league is right-handed.
Right.
So it's a little bit tougher. Listen, I have this girl on a middle school girl on my middle school basketball team. And right now, she doesn't know what handed she is. She's like 12
That's a good thing. That's a good problem to have.
She can shoot with the left and the right. And I'm like, well, what hand are you? She's like, I don't know.
That's good.
Most of the time, I think she shoots with the right, but she can go and shoot with the left too. Yeah.
She's a switch shooter.
Yeah, it's something.
That's interesting. Yeah, that's something we've never seen. One thing I saw in baseball, they got a switch pitcher. I don't know if he's still in the league, but he was a guy that could throw with both his left and right hand, which is crazy.
With the same power?
Yeah, he was throwing. I think he was throwing in the 90s with both.
Wow.
He'd bring out two gloves to the mound, and when a lefty batter would come up, he'd pitch with the left, and when a righty batter came up, he'd pitch with the right.
Wow. When I do any kind of throwing with the left hand, I feel like I'm throwing like a girl. Not to disrespect the ladies out there.
I can't do it.
Right? Not to disrespect the ladies, but I just feel funny. I just feel funny when I'm trying to do it with my left hand. Like especially if I'm trying to throw a football, oh my goodness. I can pass with my left hand playing basketball because I've done it for years. Right? But if I'm trying to throw a baseball or football,
Oh, thank you so much for the super chat, City for Real. Yeah, I'm the same way with you, though. He says, when RJ hit a clutch shot, you better say he got syrup in his veins. Hashtag keep a lookout for my guy, Elf of Wall Street. Keep up the good work, Chris. So we appreciate that. Of course, the syrup in his veins is the reference to the Maple Mamba, which is one of my favorite nicknames. I love that nickname.
Yeah, I like that nickname, too, the Maple Mamba. That's nice. That's nice.
Yeah. I like that nickname. Hopefully he has a good year this year, because you know he's gonna have a lot of pressure, and especially being this high of a pick, and we missed out on Zion, and we missed out on Durant. Knicks fans are going to expect this guy to come out and deliver. Not 25-5, but they want him to have a productive year this year. Otherwise, they're going to get on him, and that's New York. We know that.
Yeah. There's definitely going to be, well, I'll say this. There's going to be some pressure on him. But I think with the type of players that we picked up in free agency, that the Knicks picked up in free agency, I think it takes some of the pressure away.
Right? I agree with you. It's not. We said this last week. It's not like when Knox came in last year when we had nobody, and Knox was the guy, right? I mean, other than I guess Tim Hardaway, which you know what we think about him. But this year, at least, you have Julius Randle. You have some established pros. So, yeah, it should help him out both in terms of efficiency and in kind of so he doesn't have that huge load on his back. And the same thing for Knox. Should help Knox out, too, this year.
Yep. I am so excited to see what Knox is going to do this year.
He might be the guy I'm most excited about this year.
Yeah, I like what I've seen in Summer League. He's, it looked like he added a little bit of muscle from the time the Knicks started playing till Summer League began. There's some of the things that I've seen him do during the Summer League. I'm just excited about it. And I hope he brings the same type of energy to the, when the season begins. Now, because it's a little bit easier when you're 20 years old and you're playing with other 20-year-olds. It's a little easier to have that aggressiveness. Easier to be like, hey, I'm the guy. Let me get the ball. And we still seen a few times where he, faded out of the picture while in the game. He was kind of silent on the court. But for the most part, he was aggressive. It's easy to do that when you're playing with people your age. It's a little bit tougher when you get into the NBA and, you're playing with grown men.
Yeah, and if you remember Summer League last year, it was the same thing. Because I remember making that video last year. His first couple of games, he was very aggressive. He was getting to the free throw line. I think he had 8 free throw attempts in his first Summer League game. Exactly because of what you said. He was going up against basically guys that he played in college. So it's a different game when you get to the pros. But I'm excited. I don't even know how Knox is going to do, if I'm being completely honest. I mean, obviously, he was very inefficient last year. I think he shot 37%. But I'm excited to see if he can take that step, because this is going to be a prove it year for Knox this year, because he doesn't have many excuses this year. The team has improved. They've got better surrounding parts. He has to take a step up this year. Yeah. And that's what I'm excited to see. Because he could be a big X factor 3-4 years down the road when this team potentially gets good, if he could be a good starter on a good basketball team. So he's a guy that I really have my eyes on this year. Mitch, we kind of know what we're getting. I think Mitch is going to be a contributor. His shot blocking alone makes him incredibly valuable. Knox, I need to see something from him this year.
Yeah, I think that Knox is going to have – I think he really is going to have a better season. I feel like he's going to get the ball in better spots, in a better position, and be able to knock down those shots. I feel like there's going to be more rhythm on the offensive end. And, when you got more rhythm, everybody can shoot a little bit better when the team just has some good rhythm, And I feel like, especially with someone like Elfrid Payton out there, whether or not he's starting, he'll probably get some time with Knox, especially if he's not starting and he's coming off the bench and Knox is coming off the bench. If Knox comes off the bench, which I think might happen, at least in the beginning of the season. And if they're playing together, Elfrid Payton is going to find them in spots where it's comfortable for him, right in the shooter's pocket, where he can raise up and shoot the ball. And I think it'll be good. Knox averaged 10 points, 11 points per game last season.
Yeah, right around there. But low efficiency. Yeah, that was the gist with Knox last year.
I think he picks up his efficiency. He might, if he's getting the same minutes, which I think he will. Yeah, he might be able to get up to 15 a game, 15, 6 rebounds or something like that.
That's what I want to see. I want to see 13 to 15 points with a 44-45% field goal percentage from him this year. That's what I'd like to see. And I want to say thank you to the Phillies ace, John Letourneau, for the super chat. And he's going a little off topic. He's a huge Eagles fan. Sim, you know how we both feel about the Eagles. I know you're a big Giants fan. He says, the entertainer, my Eagles will remain undefeated the next 10 years. Just kidding. Stand up. Sorry, going off topic. Don't worry about it, man. Sim and I will be, I'm going to have Sim on for the Giants show every once in a while. He's a big Giants fan.
I'm a huge Giants fan. I love my New York Giants.
Yeah, did you happen to catch any of the training camp highlights today?
I didn't. I was working on a video all day. Then I had to run out and go to basketball practice, so I didn't get a chance to watch anything.
Eli looked good today.
Yeah, I mean, I heard that I heard some people say he's in the best shape of his life.
We'll see. We'll see. We won't really know until the games actually start.
Yeah, I'm going to say this. I was listening to, who was I listening to? Maybe it was Max Kellerman. And he was talking about how much better Eli Manning looked with Odell Beckham on the field last season. And he probably did, right? Because, with Odell, you can kind of throw, if you put the ball anywhere in his vicinity, anywhere.
Yeah, he's one of the top 3 or 4 receivers in the league.
Yeah, he's going to bring it in. But I think that not having Odell from the beginning is going to open things up for some of the other receivers. Hopefully Sterling Shepard can step up and have a big season.
Sterling Shepard got hurt today. Oh. Yeah, he sprained, and it's not. Well, it could be serious. It was a near broken thumb, so they said he might miss the first week or two. We'll see in the regular season. But yeah, he got hurt today.
See,
yeah, but I always try to think optimistically. At least it happened in the beginning.
Yeah.
So he has some time to recover. Yeah. But yeah, that was one of the big headlines today from training camp.
Yeah. But
yeah, we'll see, man. But and then we're gonna get back to basketball. But to get to the point that you said about what Kellerman said, when you look at Eli, how he did last year, Eli's best football last year was in some of his best football was in the last 4 games that Beckham didn't play.
Yeah,
because he spread the ball around, and that's always been Eli's strength. When he spreads the ball around, he plays better.
Yep. And the biggest thing for Eli with me is what I seen. The past few years has just looked like the game speed is going too fast for him to make decisions. That's what I see. What it looks like for me. Like there comes a point when. When you're a little bit older, basketball court, whatever game you play, where all of a sudden everybody is just fast and you can't keep up with it.
Right.
And you're like, geez, like 3 weeks ago, I was keeping up with everyone. Now I can't, and I feel like that's what's happened with Eli.
Yeah. I mean, Father Time catches up with everybody.
Yeah. So.
I just want to say thank you to Armando Chico for the donation. He says, "What up? How do you feel about the Knicks depth chart?" Yeah, we'll answer that real quick. We went over that last show, but yeah, I'll start and I'll let Sim interject and give his thoughts too. I like the Knicks depth chart. We said it earlier. We think that we love their depth, right? At the point guard, the shooting guard, they don't have any stars. Julius Randle's kind of like a tweener, if you will. He's not quite a star in my opinion, but he's an emerging potential star. But I like the depth. That's their strength, is their depth. Now, the problem with that, as we said, potentially could be, is guys might not get consistent minutes because of that, which could hurt the development. And it's a fine line with all these veterans and all these youngsters. You don't want to play the veterans too much because you want the youngsters to be able to develop. So it's going to be a tough job this year, for Fizdale to balance the roster. But I do like the team. I think that they could easily be a 30-35 win team. I think they improved their team a lot with the 7 free agents they brought in. I thought Marcus Morris was a huge cherry on top at the end of free agency. Elfrid Payton, I think, is a really good fit. And I'll get to your super chat in a second there, John. But yeah, I absolutely love the acquisitions the Knicks brought in. I think they're a much improved roster.
Yeah. I feel like if Coach Fizdale and the coaching staff can put this team together the right way, and all right, let me start with this. I think everything's going to depend on what their mentality is coming into the season. If they look and say, we really want to try to make the playoffs with this team, 8th seed, 7th seed, then that's going to determine what the who starts, who's coming off the bench, what the lineups look like, in my opinion. It's got to depend. So you got to know what your goals are coming into the season. If they're like, well, this is just another season where we're trying out people and we're going to keep a few pieces here and there, then you may see a difference in the way the lineup looks, because they may just be playing people that they want to try them out, right, and see how they fit. That said, I do think that if the intentions are right, that they want to try to win basketball games, I'm not saying win a championship, but win basketball games, then they have a roster that, if put together correctly and done right and coached correctly, I think could overachieve.
I agree. I think they have a really good balance of veterans and young players with promise. And we didn't even touch on Portis. I always say that. I really like that Portis pickup.
Yeah.
But John, thank you so much for the super chat. He says, the entertainer, even though I hate the Giants, I agree with Pizzle. Giants are going to sneak up on the NFL, except my Eagles. Well, John, I'll say real quick, and we'll get back to the Knicks. I think the Giants could sneak up on some people this year.
Good.
Because, Sim, I think you agree, the offensive line is what wins football games, and the Giants definitely improved their offensive line this offseason. So
that's right. And
when you got a running back like Barkley with an improved offensive line, you could beat teams, you could control the clock, and you could win some football games.
When you have a running back like Barkley and you have a quarterback like Eli Manning that can't move outside of the pocket, your line is the most important thing on the field, right? Because Eli Manning, last year, Eli Manning was going down sometimes before he even got hit.
Last year, it's been like the last 4 years.
Yeah, I'm like, geez,
he's got like PTSD because he's always scared that since they drafted Flowers, he's going to get killed.
Oh my goodness, yeah. So if you have a strong line with Eli, if you have a strong line and you can keep him standing upright, I think he can still get it done.
We'll see, man. I can't wait for football season. I can't wait for basketball season either. I'm so excited about my channel this year because I'm going to do so much Knicks content, so much Giants content.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to do both at the same time when it's hot in October. When both teams are hot in November, it's going to be a lot of fun.
It's going to be cool to watch.
But I can't wait till the Knicks. I can't wait to call Knicks games with you. That's going to be a lot of fun this year too.
Fun. Just one more thing with the Giants. Eli, if you have an improved offensive line, I'm not going to say that Eli's going to be all world, but he has the grit to get it done back there. I still believe he has the grit to get it done. As long as they can keep him upright, he's not going to be able to move. That's been his Achilles heel ever since he was young, and the game has changed. That's what makes it so hard, because these defensive linemen run like tight ends. I know, it's crazy. It's crazy. And thank you for the super chat, Chris Cardelli just gave money. I appreciate that, man. Thank you very much. It's tough.
But yeah, no, you're absolutely right. The speed, not just at the line, but everywhere. When you go back and look at football from the 80s and you look at football now, it's crazy,
right,
that some defensive linemen run faster than running backs ran in the 80s.
Exactly. I know. It's crazy. So, that's the reason why you do kind of need a quarterback that can move his feet, because it's going to be very hard for these offensive linemen to block for that long. When you have, these guys are so athletic. These defensive linemen, linebackers, they're so athletic. It's just hard for an offensive line to block for that long.
Yeah, and the other thing I'll say, and then I promise we'll get back to the basketball talk. The other thing I'll say is the Giants really improved their secondary this year. They spent a lot of early picks there, and that could help the pass rush, because if that secondary could cover for an extra second and a half, that's huge. And I think that they're going to be a much better secondary this year, and that should help the pass rush, which should help the defense. But we'll see. That's what I'm most excited about this year. Yeah. The offensive line, how it's improved, hopefully improved, and the secondary, because I think that could help both sides of the football a lot.
Yeah. So we'll see how it goes, man.
Sim, we always go into the year optimistic. Last year we were saying the Knicks had a shot at the playoffs.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
tell me about it.
So we're never gonna say that our teams have no chance. We go into the year optimistic. We're optimistic people.
Yeah. But this is the kind of. historically with the Giants, and I know, we're supposed to be talking Knicks here, but this is the type of a season where the Giants sneak up on. This is the type of season where there's low expectations, and then they sneak up on you and have 9 wins, and everyone's like, where'd that come from? And then maybe they have 10 wins, and then they try to then they get into the playoffs in another season, and then all of a sudden they're out the playoffs, and you're waiting for a couple of years. But this is one of those seasons like that with the Giants where they kind of sneak up on people.
All I'm going to say, I always say this to my Eagles subscribers. I got a lot of them. Go back to 2017 when the Eagles won the Super Bowl. Going into that year, the Giants were coming off an 11-5 year. They were picked by many people to go to the Super Bowl when they added Brandon Marshall. They had a really good offseason. The Eagles were picked to finish 3rd or 4th in the division. Giants finished 3-13. Of course, they had a lot of injuries that year. Beckham, I think, only played 4 games and, suffered a ton of injuries. So that obviously played a large part in that. The Eagles went on to win the Super Bowl. So not that I'm saying that this Giants team is as talented as that Eagles team was, but my point is, I don't care what people say in the preseason. Let them play on the field. Let's see what happens. And maybe the Giants get a couple of lucky bounces, and maybe we have a good year. That's all I'm going to say. Football is a crazy game. Anything can happen in football. Every year, right. Any team has a chance to make the playoffs, in my opinion. Obviously, some teams have a much better chance than others, but I think anybody every year has a shot, at least a small shot, because football is a crazy game.
That's right. Yeah. But getting back to the Knicks.
Yes, let's get back to the Knicks.
And looking at the roster, and like I said, I think this is a team that could potentially overachieve, if everything, goes right. I think this is a team, I think they fit together well with what they have. They have shooters, which is a very good thing. They got a lot of shooters, and they got defenders, and that to me is a winning formula. Shooters and defenders. And
that's the new NBA, 3-and-D.
Exactly. And then the type of players we have is good for system basketball. And if Fizdale can put in a good system where they're moving the basketball, the ball is constantly moving around that perimeter, and then you get some penetration. You can get some penetration from guys like Dennis Smith Jr., Elfrid Payton, and those type of guys, Alonzo Trier, and then they can kick out. They could surprise some teams and possibly be a team that can score the basketball and play defense, simply because they have the ability to shoot, and that ability to shoot means a lot.
And that was the Knicks' Achilles heel last year. Whenever you'd watch a Knicks game last year, other than the fact that they weren't organized at all on offense, nobody could shoot a 3. They couldn't hit the 3. Now they bring in all these guys that could shoot the 3s, and go back and look at that team. Not that I don't have these expectations at all. I know we are not winning. What did they win? 54 or 56? That Carmelo team.
54.
54. Going into that year, not much lower expectations than this year, but nobody thought that was going to be a top 2 or 3 seed in the East. And it was because, if you remember, they were kind of like the Warriors before the Warriors became the Warriors. Right. Not that they were nearly that good, but they became that team that was shooting. They were hitting like 23s a game. It was crazy.
Right.
And the 3-point ball could really help out a basketball team. Let's put it that way. And the Knicks added a lot of guys that could shoot the 3 at all different positions.
Yep.
So that was one thing that they clearly focused on this offseason was improving the 3-point shot.
Yeah. So, okay. So I want to talk to Blue in the chat. Blue is asking, who are the defenders? Who are the good shooters? So let's start with the shooters. Right? Yeah.
I mean, Portis could shoot. I think he hit, if I remember correctly, I think he hit 2 threes a game last year. Ellington hit like 2.5.
Yeah.
What's his name? The other guy they brought in, he played for the Lakers last year. The guy they just signed who's hurt.
Reggie Bullock.
Reggie Bullock could shoot the 3. Even Randle could shoot the 3. Pretty much every guy they brought in, other than Payton, could knock down the 3.
Exactly. So.
And Taj Gibson, of course.
Yeah. Last season, Portis shot. For the Wizards, he shot 39% from 3. That's almost 40%. That's great.
That's a 7-footer.
Yeah, exactly. A 7-footer. Wayne Ellington shot like 37% from 3. That's pretty good. You had Reggie Bullock shot like 38 or 39% from 3. That's really good.
And the other thing I like about Bullock when I was looking at his numbers, he shot like 86, 87% from the free throw line.
Yeah, exactly. From the free throw line. You have Julius Randle can also shoot from three. Julius Randle, he can hit he shot 34% from three last season. Julius Randle,
right.
which is good because
for a big man, that's good.
Yeah, and the season before that, Julius Randle was shooting. He was shooting 22% from three, but he was only shooting a half. Like he wasn't even shooting 1 3 a game. He was shooting 22%. He went up to shooting almost 3-pointers a game, and now is shooting 34%. So the hope is now he continues to improve, and maybe he can bump that up to 35 or 36% this season, right? So we got some guys that can shoot. You have
Brazdeikis could shoot too if he gets on the floor.
Brazdeikis can shoot from three. Alonzo Trier was hitting last season, was hitting at 39% from three. Right, so there's some guys that can shoot threes. Now he acts.
Or not that he's efficient, but Barrett's a threat too. He can hit it.
Right.
We hope Knox could hit some more, get more efficient from the 3-point land this year too.
Exactly. We hope that. Trier shot 40% from three last season. There's some guys that can knock down the three and hit the three. So we do have people that can spread the floor. Now defensively, Taj Gibson is a defender. Reggie Bullock is a defender. Wayne Ellington can play defense. I'm not saying he's an all-world defender, but he's a decent defender. He's a pretty good defender. Frank Ntilikina, we hope is going to be able to play defense.
Get on the floor, yeah.
If he gets on the floor, he's going to be able to play defense. But play defense up to the, to where we think he should play defense. Elfrid Payton is a good defender.
Yeah.
Obviously, Mitchell Robinson's a
potential defensive player of the year eventually.
So there are some guys that can. Blue said it's a lot of hoping. I mean, we didn't say we hope anything.
We're not. We're just saying that they improved at the 3-point shot. That's all we're saying. Thank you. That's one of those super stickers you were talking about, Tim. Thank you, Jay Hinton, for that super stick. I don't even know what that is. What is that? A pair? That's a cool thing that YouTube just added.
Yeah.
What's going on, Pettisons? And I saw Delano popped in the chat. What's going on, Delano? How you doing, my man? But yeah, no, they definitely added a 3-ball element to this offense, 100%. And that's something I'm really looking forward to because they couldn't shoot it last year. They couldn't shoot it to save their life.
Yeah, right. Rogue Dog, he asked, does Simeon do I only call Knicks basketball? Yeah, right now I only call Knicks basketball. I would love to do, add more to the channel, but I just don't have the time. I would love to do some Giants. I would never do the Jets. I just wanted to throw that out there for the Jets fans in the channel.
Well, I'll tell you right now. Obviously, I have my weekly show with Bad Dog, and we're going to be doing that 2 shows a week in season. I plan on having Sim on that show. At least every once in a while, I'll pop him on the show, get him some exposure within the Giants community. So Sim will be on here to talk some Giants. When he's free.
Yeah, I definitely will. And I might. I was thinking about doing a couple of Giants videos for the NBK channel. Just cause.
Yeah, man. I'll definitely, if you want to pop on, do a dual video, Giants, I'm always down for that too. Yeah,
definitely, man. I'd love to. I'd love to.
Yeah.
I did want to say one thing, if you don't mind, Entertainer. Opening night is coming up, not that far away. Well, at least next month we'll get the schedule, and I'm gonna have, an event at MSG. So I just wanted to remind people, that you can make a deposit for tickets. If you want to go to opening night, we'll have a lounge. At the first 2 I did, Chris was there. We had a great time. We went down we went down courtside, watched shoot around. We had food in the lounge. Isaiah ate up all the food in the lounge.
Yeah, I was gonna say we didn't get much. Isaiah really pounded that food.
Yeah. And then he tried to blame it on Chester. Chester
didn't eat anything.
Right.
But and then the first game we didn't get to, I don't think, but the second game we got to actually go on the court after the game, which was really cool.
Yep. And so when I'm working out, I just spoke with the rep a couple of days ago, and of course we'll get to go courtside before the game, and then we're working on so that we can shoot free throws on the court after the game.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Yeah, that's awesome, man. And maybe we got to get together at Clyde's or something. I remember you were talking about that.
Right. That's what I'm hoping that we then, after the game, go to Clyde's. So I'm going to put a link if people are interested in going and want to go. There's about less than 20 tickets remaining. You can put a down payment down. I'm putting a link in the chat, and you can check it out. I just want to drop that out there. Now, in case anybody wanted to, join us.
Yeah, for sure, man. That'd be a blast. Definitely. We had a blast that last year. And Darnell, what's going on, my man? Thank you for popping in. And Blue says, but I don't see this team as a great. And we're gonna open up the lines probably in like 5 minutes, guys. He says, I don't see this team as a great shooting or defensive team, albeit improved. I agree with that, Blue.
Yeah.
If I'm being completely honest, but we went from being the worst. I mean, I'm not looking at the stats in front of me, but we had to be damn near the worst 3-point shooting team in basketball last year. To hopefully an average 3-point shooting team, which is a huge jump off. And defense, no, we're definitely not an elite defensive team, but again, maybe we could be close to average. And maybe we'll have a surprisingly competitive year. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, because last year we were last in defense. We started the season like in the top 10 for a little while.
I mean, opening night, I thought we were going to win the championship. We blew the Hawks out.
Right.
We were there together. I was like, oh, my God, this team looks amazing.
I'm telling
Tim Hardaway had 25 points or something in the first half or something like that.
Yep. Alonzo Trier had a monster dunk down the lane. Bombed.
Yeah.
Everybody went crazy. I mean, we left.
Yeah. We left the Garden. We're like, oh, the Knicks, we're going to see our third championship.
Yeah, right.
No, I'm kidding. We didn't think that, but we left there happy and optimistic.
Yeah. No, we're definitely not going to be, a top defense in the league. I don't think. You never know what can happen in sports, but I think we could be somewhere around average because we still got some players that maybe lack a little bit defensively. You're going to have that, right? But if we could be somewhere about average and be, a average to top 10 offense, then we'd be looking pretty good. We'll see.
We'll see. It's going to be a fun year. It really is because I really do like the mix this year. It's not like last year where we said it was kind of just like last year was kind of like we're just throwing out a bunch of guys that have kind of been disappointing in their NBA careers in terms of the guys that they brought in and their reclamation projects, top 10 guys. Now they brought in guys that actually have good stats on the back of their basketball card that have a track record that could make this team somewhat competitive and can help the youth grow. So I think they had a much more encouraging offseason this year as opposed to last. Not to mention RJ Barrett.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And they got some leaders. They got some real leaders on the team. They weren't. I mean, who were the real leaders on the team? Who were the real leaders?
They didn't have leaders. They didn't have leaders
on the team last year. We didn't have them. Now there's some real leaders. There's some leaders on the team that you're not gonna mess around with.
You got some attitude on this team with Taj Gibson and Marcus Morris.
Exactly. So, you're not going to – what Enes Kanter tried to do last year, he tried to be the tough guy. Yeah, most people in the league could see through it. Well, guess what? Taj Gibson and Marcus Morris, you're not going to see through anything. Right?
No, those guys will knock you on your butt.
Yeah, they're just not going to mess with them. And that type of attitude begins to resonate throughout the whole team.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to the year, man. I think it's going to be a fun year for Knicks basketball. I really do. We're going in obviously with low expectations. We know we're not winning championships. We know it's at best probably a 30-40% chance we make the playoffs. But it's going to be a fun year where we're going to see improvement, I think. And that'll be encouraging for the youth movement.
Yeah. And these guys they hear the chatter, right? They hear everybody saying that, the Knicks had these bad, they didn't get who they wanted in free agency, so they just went out and picked up a bunch of role players and, all this junk. These guys hear it, and I think they're motivated. I think all of them are like, at least the guys that they brought in, Marcus Morris, Taj Gibson. I just flashed across the screen that picture of Taj Gibson, Elfrid Payton, Julius Randle, and Bobby Portis. I think these guys are like, okay, that's what they think. We're going to come out here to prove a point. And I really do think that's on their mind. They want to prove a point. And they feel like they can be a rough and tumble 90s Knicks type of team.
I hope so, man. And I just want to answer this question from one of my best subscribers. Christian Orman, should have shouted you out earlier. Thank you for being here, buddy. He says, do you think Barrett could step up as a leader, or does he step down and try to learn from the veteran players? Well, I think both. I think Barrett has the makeup to be a leader. I think he's been groomed for this since he was like 5 years old from his dad, who played for St. John's. I think he's like the vice president of Canadian basketball. Steve Nash, obviously, his godfather. So he definitely had good mentors growing up, and he seems humbled. And I will say, every time I watch Barrett in an interview, you could tell this guy has a good head on his shoulders, right? He's confident, and I think he's going to deal with the New York media very well. And I think he will be a leader, but I do also think, obviously, he's a rookie. He's not going to be the leader of the team. I think he does have some good characteristics to be a leader, though, in the future. And I think that there's a lot of guys that he could learn from on this team in terms of being a leader.
Yeah, and I think that's the key right there, what you just said. There's a lot of guys on this team that he can learn from. He can follow behind those guys. You know what I'm saying? He can he doesn't have to step in and be the leader right away. He can take the time to learn. Which is what the purpose of bringing these guys in was, to take the pressure off. Exactly, because you have Marcus Morris, you have Julius Randle, and we're still not sure if Julius Randle is ready to be that leader guy to step into that. But even he has a Marcus Morris and a Taj Gibson to learn from. You know what I'm saying? So it's just a good situation. He's coming into that, what Kevin Knox did not have last season. But RJ Barrett is coming into, a nice little cushion where these guys have been there. They've done some things and they can help. They can be the leaders until RJ Barrett is ready to take over. Right. Absolutely. And let's open up those phone lines, and let's take a couple of phone calls. I see a lot of people in the chat asking when we're going to open them up. Let's do it. Yeah, let's do it. And Barbowski, what's going on, my man? He says, what's up? Who do you guys think will be the sixth man? Starks type of guy who brings energy and scoring off the bench. Trier comes to mind, but who else? I don't think Trier's going to be the sixth man on this team. I don't think their sixth man this year is going to be that type of sixth man. Knox could be if Marcus Morris starts. Yep, he could be. I don't know if Knox comes in with like that lightning though. No, not the lightning, but he could be the sixth man and maybe a guy that gets you some points. But yeah, he's not that type of player. Yeah. He doesn't come in with that. Trier to me is the guy that would be instant offense off the bench. If he can get the minutes, right. If he can get the minutes, he's just that kind of guy. He is just that kind of guy that he doesn't need to warm up. Right, he can come right in and he's ready to go. You know what I mean? Yeah, we got a phone call coming in. All right. Who do we got? Yeah, caller, you on live?
Hey, this is Bob from Vermont.
Bobby is always the first call, regardless of what show it is.
Well, I know, because I like talking. You know that.
He's a big talker.
What's your entertain to talk? I love to talk. You know that.
Let's hear you talk, Bobby. What do you want to talk about?
What about last night? I kicked some butt last night, huh? I screwed up.
Oh, Bobby's referring to trivia. Yes, we did a trivia show on.
We had a good time last night.
Yes, Bobby, I think is about 50-55, and they were asking a lot of 70s sitcom questions, and Bobby was the only person in the chat who knew what they were, so he did a good job.
I got Young and the Restless too. You believe that?
But Bobby, you want to talk some Knicks?
Yes, we're going to talk some Knicks. I got a question for Simeon.
Okay.
Simeon, it says Kenny Wooden signs Exhibit 10 deal with the New York Knicks. What does that mean?
You know what? I'm not exactly sure what the Exhibit 10 deal is, but I believe it's the Exhibit 10 deal is it's a training camp deal, and it's a training camp deal, and then he can obviously make the Westchester Knicks and play for the Westchester Knicks. Right. It's
like a minor league team or something.
Exactly. It's not a two-way deal where we have two guys, Kadeem Allen and Chris Wilkes, who are on a two-way deal. So the two-way deal means that they can play for the G League team, the Westchester Knicks, but they can also play some games in the NBA.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I'm reading it right now, actually. I just looked it up. The Knicks are already at the full allotment of 15 players, but this deal allows Wooten to collect an additional $50,000 if he spends at least 45 games with the club's G League affiliate after getting cut during training camp. It's a good way of making sure Wooten ends up in Westchester. So I guess that's the reason why they did it.
Right. And
okay.
And it can.
I didn't understand what that meant. So thank you for explaining it to me. And then Also, I like Julius Randle. I'm happy we picked him up.
Yeah, and then that Exhibit 10 contract, it can be converted into a two-way contract. So let's say that the Knicks have two-way players right now, Kadeem Allen and Chris Wilkes. Let's just say one of those guys, they said, "Hey, this is not working out. We want somebody else to be on a two-way contract." They could convert that Exhibit 10 to a two-way contract. So.
Wooten was a guy we didn't talk much about. I really liked Wooten in Summer League.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I really like Wooten in Summer League. And, he is a guy that and I'm going to bring this over just so we can look at it briefly about Kenny Wooten. Yeah. Right, Kenny Wooten, as Bobby just said, was picked up. The Knicks signed him on an Exhibit 10 contract. I think it's $893,000 for the season. Right, he's 6'9", he's 235 pounds. He's a power forward. He went to Oregon, played for the Fighting Ducks. He's a sophomore this year. Right, he's 21 years old. Last season, now his stats not going to blow you out the water. He averaged 6.3 points per game, 4.8 rebounds per game. 6 assists. He shot 58.9% from the field. He did average...
Wait, Sim, 6 assists?
I'm sorry, 0.6 assists.
Okay, I was gonna say Kenny Wooten not. In what league is he averaging 6 assists?
Yeah, 0.6 assists. 0.6 assists. He shot 50.
Chris, you're so be nice.
Yeah, he shot 58.9% from the field. 67.2% from the free throw line. He averaged 2.6 blocks per game. Yeah, 2.6 blocks per game. Now, obviously,
that's his biggest attribute.
Yeah, and his strengths are defense, athleticism, and shot blocking. But he's not a scorer. He can't really shoot the basket.
No.
And you would hope that his rebounding would be better for the athleticism that he has. You know what I'm saying? But he's the kind of a player that you put in your G League system, you groom him for 2 years, and then when these guys like Taj Gibson, whatever other power forwards we picked up are ready to move on from the Knicks, now you got a young guy that you develop that can hopefully come in and he's been in your system for a while, and he can come in and play, and he can give you that. He can be a power forward that gives you that shot blocking that Mitchell Robinson gives you, but he can come off the bench. Mitchell Robinson goes to the bench. He can come in and give you some shot blocking. Or if they're on the floor together, now you got two guys that can block and got this crazy athleticism. So he's the kind of guy that you stash away, you develop him for a couple of years, and then you bring him in. So that's what I see with Kenny Wooten.
He's kind of like that's exactly what he is a poor man's Mitchell Robinson.
Chris,
that's exactly what he is. Yeah, Bobby, go ahead.
The Yankees got their butts whipped tonight, 19-3.
Well, Sim and I are Mets fans, so we got smiles.
Hey, 19-3 though, we lost big time. And the Giants, I think they're going to be 11-5, Simeon.
I hope so. I hope so.
Listen, don't get me excited, man. Don't get me excited.
I think that's my prediction. I think they're going to take care of the Snowy Eagles and the Cowgirls, win them both teams.
Don't get me excited.
Yeah, let's temper our expectations a little bit, Bobby. Let's temper those expectations. But I hope you're right.
Trust me, I hope you're right.
I think I'm right. I have faith in my team.
Yeah, I was so disappointed last season. You don't get it. I don't understand. I was so disappointed last season. I was hurt because I had some.
I cried.
Giants.
We could have won more games last year than we did.
Yeah.
The 19-3 game we should have won, but the defense blew that out. That was a horrible game. It was a horrible game. 19-3 we're up, and then they.
I know, Bobby. You're gonna make me depressed. I don't want to recap all the Giants' losses last year. It was tough. It's a new year.
I know. I cried, and then this year at the draft, you have to see Christopher. I signed him. Oh my God! Christopher was funny. I like the draft day. That was good. Right, Chris?
All right, yeah, no, it was a lot of fun, Bobby. But we're gonna get on to the next call. Always loving you calling. You always bring energy and laughs.
Chris, do you see Mr. Softy today?
Oh, I saw Mr. Yes, that's another question Bobby always asks me if I saw Mr. Softy. Yes, I saw Mr. Softy. I, however, did not get a vanilla ice cream cone.
Oh, you did. Yeah, I like chocolate myself. So, okay, let other people call in. I know that guy Belief wants to call in. I know that.
All right.
Okay?
All right.
All right,
So
Bobby,
nice
thank you for the call.
Simeon and Chris. You know I like to talk, Chris.
All right.
I know. You're a big
Shut
talker.
my mouth.
You're a big
I got
talker.
my phone. It's connected to my ear.
All right, Mr. Softy. All right, Bobby, have a good one.
Yeah. Have a good one, Bobby. I'm gonna tell you that. When.
Bobby needs his own show.
Yeah, I'm just gonna be honest with you, Chris. When he says, "Hey, did you talk to Mr. Softy today?" It just sounds pretty funny. It sounds kind of funny.
Every time he calls in, he asks me about Mr. Softy because he lives in Vermont now, and I guess they don't have a Mr. Softy.
Right.
Yeah. Bobby's a character, man. I don't know what else to say to anybody that's first tuning in for the first time. Bobby's a character.
Right. All right, we got another call here. Caller, you on live with Chris and Sim. What's popping?
Yes. Hello, Knicks fans, Giants fans. What's going on? And Stephen Evans, what's happening tonight?
What is going on, Stephen Evans? Bends the knees. What's going on, my man?
Bends the knees. Listen, a couple things. One, obviously I'm looking forward to a big time Knicks season, and by big time, not necessarily making the playoffs, but just giving us some exciting basketball to root for out there and give us some hope for the future. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. Also, too, my personal opinion is that, Knicks management might be playing, a long game. If you notice with some of the free agent signings, the Markieff Morrises, the Bobby Portises, the Bullocks and whatnot, these are people that are going to stretch the floor, and they will also be coveted assets for people making a playoff push or a championship run throughout the season. So I feel like we position ourselves to kind of have these people in our locker room to help with the growth and development for the first part of the season, but then maybe flip them for either picks or some other kind of asset towards the middle of the season.
That's a great point. That's a great point, and I completely agree. I think Marcus Morris, if the Knicks are not doing well, is a perfect guy to flip because of his 1 year. Well, they're on 1 year contracts. We said that last week. They all have a 1 year option. And I also think, Sim, that these guys that they brought in that could stretch the floor is going to help out Barrett a lot because Barrett makes his living getting in the lane, creating contact, and when you have the ability to stretch out the floor, they can't clog the paint.
Right.
Absolutely.
I definitely agree with that. Those guys are going to stretch the floor, especially someone like Bobby Portis, who's 6'11". He's going to pull. If you got a shot blocking center that's guarding Bobby Portis, or power forward that's guarding Bobby Portis, he's going to pull him out the paint.
Absolutely.
And let me say, what you said about guys possibly being moved at the deadline, guys like Marcus Morris because of the contracts that they're on that could really fit into a championship level team. That's exactly right. It's exactly on point. And if the Knicks are playing well, those guys are worth even more.
Absolutely. And also, too, I hear a lot of comparisons about R.J. Barrett, right? And respectfully, I have to disagree with your loose comparison with the Ron Artest and the Paul Pierce. For me, I feel like his upside, if he maxes out potential-wise, right, he'd be a James Harden with just a bigger, longer frame, right? And that's, from my lips to God's ears. But also, too, I can see him plateauing as someone on like a Tyreek Evans level, to be quite honest with you. Somebody who isn't, overly adept at using his offhand, somebody who can score, somebody who can facilitate a little bit, can do a little bit of everything, but nothing great. The only difference to me is that motor and that competitive spirit, which I feel like will show itself in work ethic and wanting to get better. So I'm hoping he projects up. But I'm telling you, I'm so afraid that I'm seeing a little bit of Tyreek Evans and R.J. Barrett.
Oh, God, I hope not.
Yeah. Tyreek Evans is a pretty good player, but obviously we want more than that.
Right. And see, I just feel like exactly what you said. I feel like he has the work ethic and the drive to want to be something more. I don't know what it is. When I hear him talk, he made a comment, and I think we talked about this last week. He made a comment after Summer League, I think, where someone asked him, or maybe it was after one of the Summer League games, and somebody asked him what he wanted to improve on over the offseason. He said everything. And then he said, I used to say that a long time ago, and people would kind of look at me funny like I was like it was a cop-out, right? He said, but finishing used to be my strong point when I was in high school. Now I'm here in summer league and I can't finish. He said, that's why I tell people I got to work on everything, because that used to be a strength. Now it's a weakness. So you never know when something is going to turn into a weakness. So you got to continuously sharpen your skills. That's basically what he was trying to say.
That's a great thing to say from a rookie.
Exactly. And, so I think he has that mentality to want to be great. I really do. And his father, I feel like,
and listen,
I feel like the influence from his father is going to push him. Will continue to push him. He went away to school. He was in Canada. He went away to school, and his father said, he was there for whatever amount of time. He got homesick. He wanted to come home. His father was like, "No, you made this commitment. Right. You're gonna do it." And I think
big time.
I think having his father in his corner, who played for St. John's, who was in and around basketball. His mother's an athlete. I think that's going to push him and to be the best that he can be. We just don't know what that ceiling is going to be. You know what I mean? But
listen, I will. Yeah. I will say this too. For me, obviously, physical attributes and just ability and all that other kind of stuff. Those are the tangibles, and obviously, those are things that jump off of a page when you're trying to project an athlete, right? But for me, one of the best things that I saw was when they initially introduced RJ and walked him into the Garden, just to see the look on his face when he looked up and he heard his name being called. Everything I saw in his affect, everything I saw in his eyes let me know that he wants this stage, he wants to be great. And, for a Knicks fan who's been experiencing some slim pickings for a lot of years, man, I just like having that kind of mentality in what we hope to be our next star franchise player. So I'm definitely rooting for him. And last,
agree with that. I want to get. I see the super chats, guys. I'm going to get to that after this talk. I completely agree with that. And RJ Barrett was begging for New York, and that's something that I'm encouraged by, because some guys don't want to come here. And he wanted the right. He wants to take New York on, and that's another thing I really like about the kid.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna tell you that also speaks to one of my biggest pet peeves. Listen, I'm a Giants fan, I'm an Ohio State Buckeye fan, I'm a Knicks fan, right? In these down times when people like, us right now on the phone, us in the chat, listen, we scour all these AAU games and these Drew Summer League games and college ranks and overseas. We're always looking to see who's on the end of whoever's bench that could potentially be a Knick one day and produce for us. We are so desperate for an incredible product on the court that we deserve, right? But the bandwagon fans are not here with us right now, living and dying with every shot, analyzing every signing, wondering this, wondering that. So I don't want to see them. I don't want to hear from them. When we become good one day. I hate that.
You and I both know when the Knicks get good, they're the hottest ticket in town, and there's a reason for that. There's a lot of bandwagon fans.
Yeah, unbelievable. Listen, you guys, thank you so much for the call. And if you get a chance sometime today, please explain to us or suggest to us what you guys would do if you guys were the coaches. How would you fix this rotation so as to make sure that people like Trier and Knox and Mitchell Robinson and RJ Barrett get the appropriate amount of minutes to make their mistakes and actually get some development going? Thank you so much. I'll talk to you guys later.
Appreciate it, man.
You got it, man. That's a great question. First, I'm going to get to these super chats, but I'm sure we'll get to go over that. That's a great question. Armando Chico says, Frank Ntilikina, thank you for the super chat, by the way, Armando. Frank Ntilikina, Wooten, Mitch, Randle, Knox, defensive line, ? Not this year, because I don't think Wooten's going to be on the NBA league, but obviously all those guys are really good potential defenders. That defensive team would be ridiculous. I mean, Ntilikina, Wooten, Mitch, Randle, and Knox. Yeah, that's a pretty good defense there, Sim.
Yeah. That'd be a pretty good defense. And I mean, that could be something that you're looking at for the future,
Yeah, definitely in certain spots you could have that type of lineup out there for sure.
Yeah. I think, what the caller just asked was, I mean, that's a really good question, because it's going to be so hard for Fizdale to really juggle the lineups without ruffling somebody's feathers.
That's his biggest challenge this year.
Yeah, I've been in a situation where I've had 14 players, and all 14 of them deserve to play. And and I want to make sure that there's certain people that are maybe freshmen, right, that I want to make sure they get some playing time, they get on the floor, so they can learn to play, so they can get some experience. Now, when you're talking AAU basketball, because I coach AAU basketball, when you're talking AAU, you might play 3 games in a day, right? So you can say, okay, the first game I'm gonna play these 10. Second game, I'm gonna squeeze in these couple players and give such and such and such a little bit less time. And you can do some things like that when you're coaching AAU basketball, because you get 3 games in one day, or 2 or 3 games in one day. But now you're talking about the NBA is going to be, 3 games in a week. But things mean a little bit more because players are getting paid,
And like we said last week, they're all on 1-year contracts. They're all on prove-it deals. And they're going to want to make sure they get their minutes and their point. It's really going to be a tough challenge this year.
And I think what needs to happen is first of all, I think the Knicks, to answer this question, if it were me, what I would do is this. The first thing I do is I talk with Scott Perry, Steve Mills, and the coaching staff, and we figure out what are our goals for the season. That's the most important thing to understand in the beginning. What are our goals? Because that's going to dictate everything else, in my opinion. Right? So if our goals are to make the playoffs, we say, okay, we want to try to make the playoffs, but we also got to make sure that our young guys get some development in. So now I got to talk to the team, and we got to say, listen, this is what this is about. We are trying to make the playoffs. We are going to make a push and really try to get into the playoffs, but we got to find a way to play our young guys so that they can develop as well. You know what I'm saying? Of course, they can develop in practice, but they need game time experience.
Oh, yeah, the practice. I mean, practice. We're talking about practice. Yeah. No, before I go over what I would do, thank you, good citizen, for the super chat. He says, thank you to both you guys for keeping me updated on my New York teams representing in Boston. Great job, like always, and keep up the fantastic work. Go New York. We both appreciate that, good citizen. Yeah. And by the way, anybody that's not subscribed to him, the link is in the description below. Should have shouted him out earlier. Go on over to Nothing But Knicks. Does a great show over there, 3 days a week. You won't regret it. Great channel over there, and love working with him. Yeah, but as far as the lineup goes, it's going to be really tough. It's going to be really tough. Somebody's going to miss out on minutes. There's too many cooks in the kitchen. But if it was me, like I said, as far as Trier goes, how I would operate him is if he's the type of guy that he can win a game for you when he's hot, right? Because he could go on that spurt, and I think that's going to be his role. When he's on, he's getting minutes because he's probably the instant offense guy off this bench. Like you said earlier, he is probably the best instant offense guy off this bench. And when he's on, he's going to get minutes. When he's not on, he's not. He's the one player that I don't think will get consistent minutes.
So let me ask you about that, right? But how do you determine? So that means that there are some guaranteed minutes in there for him. There has to, because or else if there's not guaranteed minutes, then there might be a night that you don't know if he's hot or not. So he's got to see the floor in order for you to know if he's hot.
And I think a lot of it's also going to be predicated on the flow of the game. I think it's going to be an ebb and flow. Like if the Knicks are kind of going in a they just get outscored 15-2 on a 15-2 run, and he feels like he needs some punch, I think you bring Trier in. I think a lot of Trier's minutes are going to be based on the flow of the game, if that makes sense. But I think he's going to get opportunities. I don't know if he's going to get opportunities every night, though. Knox is going to get his minutes. I'm not worried about Knox. Knox is going to get his 25-plus minutes, in my opinion. Same thing with Mitch, unless he's in foul trouble early. Trier's really the one, and Ntilikina. Trier and Ntilikina are the 2 young guys I worry about in terms of getting their minutes, and it's going to be tough. Because you brought Payton in here because I think he's the best facilitator on this team. I think he's going to help the other guys be able to score, get efficient shots. I think he's the best guy equipped to do that. DSJ could be, we said this last week, the X factor for this team this year if they are going to take a leap forward. Because if DSJ is a very dangerous player when he's on, and he could morph into a very good player. We'll see, but he's going to get his minutes too. So Ntilikina, I think if he's going to get minutes, it's going to be out of position, much like last year where he's playing. Well, he doesn't even have a true position at this point, but he's kind of going to be a jack of all trades guy. When we need defense, you'll bring him in. He'll play some 3. He'll play some 2. I don't see him getting a lot of minutes at the point, but I think they'll find spots to put Ntilikina in when they need stops.
Yeah, and yeah, exactly. And I think, and then listen, Dennis Smith Jr. is going to get hurt. He's going to sit out some time for his knee's going to hurt, his back is going to hurt, something. So he'll get some minutes at point guard spot, I'm sure. Frank Ntilikina will. But I think, right from the beginning of the season, you sit down and you say, listen, we're trying to make the playoffs. If that's the goal, that's what I'm saying. If that's the goal, right? We're trying to make the playoffs, but there's going to be some nights where maybe, some of you guys get a little bit less minutes because we're going to let some of these other guys play so that they can learn, so they can grow, so they can develop. And you get people on board. Say, this is a team thing. This is how we're growing as a team. You get people on board, and then you move forward with your rotations. You know what I mean? I think that's the way that you have to do it. I think you got to do it that way from the beginning. You have to be clear. That's one of the biggest things I think coaches, like Mike D'Antoni, I think one time, a long time ago, he was like, I don't have to speak to my players about this, that, and the other thing. I think that's the wrong attitude. That's the wrong way to go. You got to speak with your guys about what's going on. Keep those lines of communication open, right? So that they know, okay, all right, you're gonna play Mitch a little extra minutes tonight. Okay, cool. Or whatever it is, you know what I'm saying? You're going to let Frank play a little bit tonight. All right, cool. I think you have to do those type of things so that people really understand, and then there's no anger between anybody, because the lines of communication are open and people understand that we have one goal. We're working together as a team, because making the playoffs, or at least being in a playoff chase, I think is important for the development of the young guys when it comes to preparation.
I think that's more important than anything. I mean, other than the fact of getting opportunities, with minutes, but I think that could do so much for a development for a young player, getting playoff experience, or at least getting, like you said, meaningful game experience.
Exactly.
Late in the season. I think that is really important this year. It really is.
Yeah.
And we'll see. And I think the Knicks are trying to make the playoffs this year. I don't think there's a tank year. I really don't. Now, I don't think they expect to make the playoffs, probably, if they're being completely honest. But I think this team is going to go out there and try to win every night.
Yeah. And I think it was Good Citizen. I just want to say thank you for subscribing to the channel. I need it, man, because I can't live stream from the channel right now. So, it's holding me back. But I appreciate that. But, yeah, back to the talking about, making the playoffs or just being in a playoff push. There's so much that goes into it that I think players actually benefit, young players benefit from. The focus, the preparation, knowing, what to eat so that you can recover the best, that's going to help you to recover so that you can be prepared to play this next game. That may have playoff implications. How do you recover when you've played an emotional game? You played, you went to double overtime. It was an emotional game, and then now you got to play the next night. And the next night, this game has playoff implications. How do you recover? How do you prepare mentally? All those type of things really come into play when you're fighting for playoff position. Even if you don't make the playoffs, those things come into play. When you're tanking, you don't have that stuff.
Yeah, and it's hard, especially for a young player. It's hard to expect them when you're like a team like last year where they won 17 games. It's hard to expect them late in the season to really care that much. I mean, obviously they care, but you care a lot more when you're at least competing.
Yeah.
In basketball games, and it's just, and you're a human being, right? If you know you're going to go out there every night and lose by 20 or 30 points, you're probably not going to be as motivated as you would be if you know that your team's going to at least compete every night.
Exactly.
So I think this year we're going to see them develop a lot better than they did last year.
Yeah. And when people talk about a winning culture, and you talk about how tanking breeds losing, right? And some people say, oh, that's just garbage. If you get the good players, you're going to win. That's not really the case, because there's so much that goes into winning, and the focus and all of that, all those type of things that go into winning that you don't get when you're tanking. And so if you don't get it, you don't learn it. The young guys don't learn it. And then when it does come time where they're getting better, now you got to try to learn it on the fly. And now all of a sudden we got a window. We got to try to win something in 3 years, and we got a window, and we haven't been there battling and learning how to play in these conditions. That's why teams like the Nets and like the Clippers, right? They had a chance to at least 1 year, right, in the playoffs. They had a chance to learn how to prepare for it. They had to fight the playoffs. They got into the playoffs. They had to fight in battles. They had a group that's in a foxhole together, and it builds that trust. It builds that chemistry. They understand how to focus. Now you add pieces that they added. You don't
now they're the favorites, the Clippers.
And you don't have to train these guys. So Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, they don't have to train these guys on how to prepare for the playoffs, how to fight in the playoffs.
They've been there. They've been there. They've done that. They've played in competitive games, and you grow as a player. There's no doubt about it when you're playing in big games, or So I think that the Knicks are going to compete this year. I really do. I don't think they're tanking. Last year they tanked. If we're being completely honest. That team tanked. That roster was a bunch of, reclamation projects, and they didn't have any organization every night. The minutes were completely inconsistent. Fizdale did a lot of questionable things because I guess he was trying to develop players and putting them in certain situations. But I don't think that'll be the case this year. I think you're going to see much more organized basketball, and I think you're going to see a team that competes night in and night out.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's just going to be great to watch, because there was so many games last season. The Knicks were just blown out off the tip. It was ridiculous.
Oh God, it was horrible. It was like a horror movie every night.
So we got another phone call coming in. All right. Call the on live with Chris and Sim. What's up?
Yes, how are you? When you're playing
how you doing? Can you do me a favor? Just turn down that volume in the background.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. Am I go okay now?
Yeah, you're good to go.
Yep.
Okay, yeah. Oh, yeah. My name is Eddie from the Bronx, and I think that the Knicks are going to surprise a lot of teams this year. I think they're going to be just as good as the Nets. I think the Subway Series is going to be 50-50. I think that that the Knicks, they should surprise everybody. I think that Fizz will be exposed if he doesn't make the playoffs. And my question to you is, what coach could coach this team to at least a playoff first rounder? That's all. Have a good night.
Just what coach? Like any coach in the NBA?
What coach do you think, if Fizz don't take this team to the playoffs, this particular team, what coach do you think would push this big team that we have now in the playoffs?
You mean, when you ask that, I'm assuming you're asking like realistic guys that the Knicks could add, not like Greg Popovich, right? Because he's not leaving the Spurs.
No, I'm just saying, like, in your opinion, what coach could probably push them to at least one round of the playoffs? Any team, not just a scenario.
So just anybody. Okay. I'm gonna tell you who I think, like, with this group would be a really, really good coach for this group. Obviously, he's not leaving the Clippers, but Doc Rivers, I think, would be a great coach for this group of guys right here.
Doc Rivers is a very good coach. Brad Stevens comes to mind. I think he gets the most out of his players. I think Brad Stevens is a great coach. Obviously, Popovich, like I said. Those are the best guys, in my opinion, in the league.
I'm gonna tell you who I think could get the most out of this group and would do very well with this group. Larry Brown. Obviously, he brings his stuff. But I think Larry Brown is the type of guy that can take this kind of a team and turn them into a playoff team, because he's just what he demands.
I loved Larry Brown, not with the Knicks. He didn't do that good of a job, but I always loved Larry Brown. He was a great coach. He always got the most out of his talent.
Yeah, I feel that with the Knicks. I feel like it was more just the whole culture with Isaiah Thomas and all that kind of stuff. with Larry Brown.
Yeah, that was a horrible culture.
Larry Brown, and then Donnie.
Yeah, I think it's just my opinion. I think a lot of people are talking out the Knicks, but I think they got a good team. Why can't they make the playoffs? Because there's only how many top teams are in the East? There's only like around 4, right? Everything else is up for grabs, right?
I think they could. I definitely think they could. I'm not saying they will, but I definitely think they could. And we actually talked. You brought up the Nets. We talked about that last week. I'm not going to pick them to finish above the Nets. I think most people have the Nets finishing 5th, 6th in the East. But I wouldn't be shocked if the Knicks are right around where the Nets finish this year, because the Nets overachieved to me last year.
Yeah.
And yeah, they added Kyrie Irving, but they also lost D'Angelo Russell. And like Sim and I were talking about, a lot of that had the success. I mean, look at the Celtics last year. They were worse with Kyrie Irving on the team because he kind of disrupted the chemistry. And a lot of the Nets' success last year had to do with chemistry. Now, the Nets definitely could get the 4th seed in the East. But I wouldn't be shocked if they disappoint this year. I really wouldn't.
Yeah, and listen, the East is not going to be, for the Knicks at least, it's not going to be as easy as, it's not going to be easy to get to that 8th seed, because there are some teams that got better. You're going to have your regular guys. You're going to have Milwaukee, the 76ers, Toronto, Boston, Indiana, the Nets, Orlando, Detroit. Detroit was 41-41. I don't think they lost anybody, but they picked up Derrick Rose. And then you got Miami got better. They got Jimmy Butler, so they got better. I expect them to be in the playoffs. You get,
not that you put it that way, but if some of these guys step up, like if everybody on the team actually step their game up, and we find who's going to be the leading guard, and we got a steady 5, I think we could do something.
Let me say this. Last year, going into the season, I think you could definitely make the argument going into the season last year that the chances of the Nets and the Magic making the playoffs are less than the Knicks making it this year. I think you could make that argument. I don't think anybody thought the Nets. Most people didn't think the Nets were making the playoffs, and most people didn't think the Magic could. So if the Knicks can develop some chemistry and they can develop a good flow, yeah, they could make the playoffs. Why not?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, okay. They got to develop those things, and they got to have some things break right, because there's still some there's some teams that they got to leapfrog, and it's not going to be easy, to leapfrog those teams. But things break right for them. It could happen. I'm not saying it couldn't happen. Obviously, Fizdale's got to, he's got to get in there and really get down and dirty with these guys and do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't want to take up any more time. I just want to say this right there. Throughout the day, I always check on the Knicks. I just go and I think a lot of people do that. They check to see what's going on with the Knicks. And some of these sports reporters, they just tear the team up. So I get a lot of pleasure when you guys speak, because you do an excellent job. It feels good that you're talking positive about the team, instead of negative all the time.
Yeah, we appreciate that, man.
Beating on the Knicks. Everybody beating on the Knicks. So I think all the Knicks players should be playing with a chip on their shoulder this year. So anyhow, guys, good night. Yeah, I appreciate you listening to me.
I appreciate it, man. Appreciate the call. We appreciate the call. I agree with you 100%, though, man. And it might be the reason. A lot of people tell me that's the reason why my channel keeps getting, my streams keep getting taken down, because I went at Max Kellerman. I don't know. Maybe it's so. It might be true.
No, he's absolutely right. We talked about that last week with the media. I mean, they always make the Knicks a punching bag. They always have. And yeah, that's a thing that I think the YouTube community does a great job. I mean, sometimes I'll be negative. I'll be the first to say it. Sometimes I'll rant when the Knicks play horrible. But I think you do a great job with that. I think CK2K does a great job with that, Knicks Fan TV. I think you guys all try to take an optimistic approach.
Yeah.
And I think Knicks fans finally are embracing this rebuild, and we know that bright days are ahead.
Yeah, and first and foremost, we're all fans.
Right.
All of us, you, me, CK, Knicks Fan TV, Terry and Trey. I mean, we're all fans. So, we look at it. I think we do a good job being optimistic, but also just being truthful and being real, with what's happening, what's going on. We got another caller, Tony Crow. What's going on, man?
Tony Crow, what's going on, buddy?
How y'all doing tonight?
Doing good, man. Doing pretty good. Chilling. How you feeling?
I'm good. I'm well rested. Back from a traveling Six Flags tour.
Yo, let me tell you something. You talk about touring. Tony Crow's been at every Six Flags on the East Coast.
Is that what he's doing right now? He's going on vacation to all the Six Flags.
That's what he's been doing.
I missed a couple, but I plan on hitting them up very soon.
How many Six Flags are there?
DC and Atlanta.
How many are there?
There's a lot of them.
There's a lot. I didn't know there was so many. California has 4. Texas.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they're all over. I think Mexico got one. I think Canada got one.
Yeah. This man's been just traveling, popping around from Six Flags to Six Flags to Six Flags to Six Flags.
I'll tell you, the only one I've ever been to is the one in Jersey, and that roller coaster there is insane. What is it, King Dakar? Is it
King Dakar?
Oh my God! I felt like I was gonna die.
Yeah,
it's like a rocket ship, a lift. You go straight up into the air like a million miles an hour.
I think so. But what are we talking about tonight?
Yeah, I mean, we just kind of going with the flow right now. You know, whatever is on your mind concerning the Knicks.
Okay. I heard you just say something about people saying Max shut you down.
Yo, that's what people be. You know, I get it all the time, man. I get it all the time. Like, Max Kellerman. I just seen someone in the chat say something about the Kellerman effect or something like that. You know, who knows, man? You never know. Maybe it is Max.
Well, we'll just come up with a code name for him. We won't even call him.
He might have got mad that I showed that old rap video or something.
Maybe. You never know.
That's really him? I never even.
Nah, that's really.
I've seen clips of it. Oh wow.
Yeah, that's really
now I'm gonna check it out.
That's Max. And
now I'm gonna check it out.
Yeah, that's Max and his brother. He had a brother. I say he had. Rest in peace. His brother's name was Sam. I think it was like Max and Sam was the group or something like that. I don't know. I think his brother died in a car accident. But they had a rap group back in the day.
Huh.
That's
crazy.
Yeah, in the 90s.
That's crazy.
I think there's a whole album out.
The other thing we were talking a lot about tonight, Tony, was the way that they're going to balance out this roster, how they're going to distribute the minutes. And I think that is going to be Fizdale's biggest challenge this year.
Well, I agree with you, considering his rotation was pretty inconsistent last year. I think it's going to be real tough because we got 15 guys, and I don't think anybody. Well, okay, we have a clear-cut 15th guy, which would probably be Frank right now. But after that, I think everybody feels like they should be probably in the 8-man, 9-man rotation.
Yeah, and I'm sure Frank feels like he should be too. But no, I agree. But Frank's gonna. It's gonna be hard for him to find minutes.
I think Frank is the one guy who he can't really feel that way. I mean, he may feel like he can play that way, but he has to play his way into that. He can't
I agree. He's got to earn his minutes this year. They're not going to be given to him.
Well, I think that's going to be the mentality. I'm not giving it to anybody. So everybody earn your minutes. And then if you make it difficult for me, that's a good thing. It's a good problem
it's kind of
to have.
It's exactly what he said last year.
Well.
But like you said, last year he was inconsistent with the way that he shelled them out. But it's kind of what he said last year. You're going to earn your minutes. And, I mean, that's what's going to happen with this team. They're too deep. The best players are going to play.
Yeah. One question that I have with Fizdale, last season, who was the oldest vet on the team? Lance Thomas?
Yeah, Lance Thomas. They started him last year.
Right. He was probably the oldest vet on the team. This year, you got some vets. Fizdale's like 43 years old. Taj Gibson is 34. I want to see how he deals with those kind of vets, because it's not just that they're vets, but they're tough vets, tough-minded vets. You know, I want to know, see how Fizdale deals with those guys because I like Fizdale, but I feel like he's a little flaky a little bit sometimes with the guys, right? Like people say a used car salesman, and I feel like he is that way. I don't know how he is with the guys, and maybe he's just that way with the media, but I even feel like he's that way with the guys a little bit. You know, I mean, want, for this team, I want to have a coach that I want Fizdale. I don't want to say I want to have a coach. I want Fizdale to ride these guys. That's why I brought up guys like Larry Brown, Doc Rivers, guys like that when that caller asked that question. Because I want him to ride these guys. That's the kind of guys that are on his team.
Right, and he didn't do that with Hardaway last year. I remember you always used to say that. You always would complain that he was not a man of his word with all of his players.
Yeah, and
who said that?
Sim used to say that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh,
I wanted him to bench Hardaway's ass, and he would not.
Yeah.
Hardaway can go 0 for 700 and start the next game. But
yeah.
But I think these guys.
I'll say this about what you said, sir. A guy like Taj is in a good position because I don't want to say good position, but Mitch Robinson is in. He'll more likely have some days where he's in foul trouble, so Taj will get his time regardless. I think Ellington is another vet who probably will be in the back of the rotation. He'll probably be right in front of Frank in rotation, even though he's an older guy. Because he doesn't really do much besides shooting, and we have probably 4 2 guards in front of him.
I think he'll get pretty significant minutes until Bullock's back. When Bullock's back, it'll be interesting to see what they do with the distribution of the minutes at the 2 guard. I don't know. It's gonna be tough, man. I don't know, Sim, how they're gonna do it between him and Trier. I know a lot of Knicks fans want to see Trier, but Ellington does bring a skill set, so it'll be interesting to see what they do with that 2 spot.
Yeah. That whole 2 and 3 spot is definitely going to be interesting to see.
I'd put Dotson in front of both those new guys, honestly.
Dotson's another guy we don't even talk about. I
put Dotson in front of Bullock and Ellen, the other 2 guards.
Wait, no,
the other new 2 guards.
Yeah. We'll see, man. We'll see. We'll see how it all shakes out.
Yeah. We'll definitely see how it shakes out. I just want Fizdale to be tough. That's all. I just want him to be tough with these guys, and I think we have the kind of players that are going to want him to be tough. You know what I mean? I just want him to be tough, and don't take no garbage. And,
who else is on our coaching staff? Because, I mean, depending on who's there, because I'm honestly not too familiar with everybody or everybody's role. But, I mean, as long as you have somebody to be tough, he doesn't necessarily have to be the one.
Well, see, I feel like this is just my opinion. I feel like the head coach should be the tough guy, and your assistant coaches are the other guys, right? The assistant.
Yeah, I agree with Tim on that.
The friends, the assistant coaches are the friend kind of guys that can sit there and talk to the players. I mean, your head coach is going to talk to the players, and they're still going to develop that relationship. That's not what I'm saying. But I think the head coach has to be the no budge guy, and then the assistant coaches are the guys that, develop those kind of relationships, or maybe a little bit soft here and there, can give a little bit here and there.
One guy I know that they have on their coaching staff is Royale Ivy, right? Because I remember he had that connection to I think Durant. He was friends with Durant, a former player. That I know.
Keith Smart. Yep, Keith Smart is on.
Yeah, Keith Smart's another former player too. Yeah.
Yep. Because I feel like it's kind of like this. Right, you have your parents, and your parents are tough on you, right? Your parents, they got all these rules and all this kind of stuff, and then you got your aunts and uncles. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Who, you're upset and you go talk to your uncle. All right, let me talk to your dad. You know what I'm saying? You know, let me talk to him. That's my brother. I've been with him for 30 years, 35 years. Let me talk to him. You know what I'm saying? You know, kind of like that. Your dad might not budge, but you develop that kind of relationship with your uncle. You know, I feel like that's how it has to be on the team. You know, the head coach is the drill sergeant, and everybody else, you know, kind of, you know, has that.
I don't know if I see him as that tough coach, though. I mean, he's definitely a no nonsense coach. You know what I mean? He's definitely not gonna get walked over and disrespected. But I don't know. I haven't really seen him get at a player too often.
Yeah.
At least not.
No, he's definitely calm, cool, and collected. That's what I picked up from him. Still.
Yeah, and
he may do that in the locker room.
Yeah, and I don't know if he has to be like screaming at him and, you know, that kind of drill sergeant kind of guy. Just be like, listen, you know, because I don't scream at.
I could never picture you screaming, Sam. You don't seem like a screamer.
Well, I mean, I've had my times. Trust me, I've had my time. If you come to a basketball game,
I can see you being stern, but I don't picture you being a screamer.
But no, I'm not just a crazy screamer, but I'm very stern. You know, tonight, you know, one of my players, we were running, you know, we had to run up, down. So, you know, you run from one baseline to the other and back. That counts as one. We had 6 of them. And during the last one of my players, I don't know if she thought I wasn't looking or what, you know, when she got to a line, she stopped and kind of walked the rest of the way to the baseline. And I called her, I said, you got another one. Why? I was like, because you walked the rest of the way to the baseline instead of running to the baseline. Made him do another one. And that's it. No questions. I'm not bargaining with him. I don't bargain. You know,
right.
You know, I might give him one warning. I say the next time I tell you guys to stop playing around the lab, we're dropping all the basketballs and we're doing pyramids. And pyramids are horrible. Right. and that's it. I tell him that's it. And the next time I look around and I see somebody smirking and laughing, I'm like, basketballs to the wall, line them up, straight line on the wall, everybody to the baseline, let's go. You know what I mean? And that's just it. You know, you don't have to scream and holler, but you can still be very, very stern and not budge.
Right.
You know,
right. And that's the makings of a good coach. You know, that's how you get respect from your players.
Exactly. And to tell you guys what a pyramid is, this is a pyramid and it's very tough. And I've made my players run like 5 of these in a row. Okay. So a pyramid is this. You start at one end of the baseline, you do a push-up. You sprint to the other end, you do 2 push-ups. You sprint back down, you do 3 push-ups. You sprint down again, you do 4 push-ups. You sprint back down again, you do 5 push-ups. Then you run 5 sprints. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you do the same thing with sit-ups, the same thing with jumping jacks. And that's
all in a row?
All in a row, and that's one pyramid.
Sim, I'd be dead. I'd be dead.
You know, I've had times where I'm like, okay, you guys got 5 pyramids. Let's go.
The next time you play Isaiah, the loser should have to do a pyramid.
Oh, you better be sure that Isaiah's going to be doing that pyramid. It ain't going to be me.
But you got to make sure you have doctors on site.
Exactly. The pyramids is not a joke. They are not a joke. They are hard. They're real hard. They're real hard, you know, because, I mean, you figure, okay, it's just one push-up, you know, but as you're running those sprints and you're doing the push-ups and the sit-ups and jumping jacks with it, you'll be gassed. They can be tough. We do 30 dozens, serious 7s. So, like, serious 7s is like this. We got serious 7s and we got 6 7s. And it's all about how you recover while you're on the court playing. So, a serious 7, there's 7 minutes on the clock. Right? Okay. You start at one baseline and you got to go up and back. Okay? And you do that twice. Up and back, up and back. Right? You can usually do that in about 30 seconds. You get 30 seconds to rest. And then as soon as the clock goes to 6 minutes, you do up and back, up and back. Another 30 seconds to rest. Clock gets to 5 minutes, up and back, up and back. Right? That's serious 7s. So you get 30 seconds of recovery time. Well,
that doesn't sound nearly as bad as the pyramid.
It's not. Until you get to 6 7s. The 6 7s are a little bit tougher because you get less recovery time. So the longer you go, you know, the more tired you get, the more recovery time you need. right? So 6-7 is you start at one baseline, you got 7 minutes on the clock, and you go up, back, up, back, up, back a third time. Now that clock is down to about 15 seconds left to recover. After that 15 seconds, you do it again. Up, back, up, back, up, back. And then you got to recover for that 15 seconds, up, back, up, back. By the time you get to the end, you got like 5 seconds to recover before you got to go again. You know, and it gets tough. It definitely gets tough.
Next time I want to lose weight, I got to go.
The slowest person on the team has the least time to recover.
Say that again?
I said theoretically the slowest person on the team will have the least time to recover.
Exactly, they have the least time to recover. Right. But what those drills are about, those running drills are about is, when you're on a basketball court and it's fast and furious and you're going, you got to be able to recover quickly. As far as your endurance is concerned. So that's what those are about. But I make my players run those type of things. I just don't take any junk. I don't have to scream and yell, but I don't budge. And we just we go do it, and we got to do the drills tough. That's just what I want Fizdale to be, that kind of a guy. I'm not budging. We set these rules. We got these standards here, and we're gonna stick to these standards unless there's something that really happens where we really got to make a change, or we really have to step outside of it, but we're going to stick to this, And
I think he will be. I do think Fizdale will be. I think that fits his personality well. But last year, you're right. Yeah, there were definitely times where he was not. So we'll see. And that was a great point you brought up about Taj Gibson and players that are a little closer in age to him. Are they going to respect the guy that's almost the same age as they are? So that'll be a challenge. Yes, I that's a great point you brought up.
Yeah, I mean that's crazy. That's very hard. I think about Jason Kidd when he retired, and then now he's going and he's coaching Paul Pierce. It's not the same with Fizdale, but he had to coach Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, and those guys. And it's like these guys are a year younger than him.
Right. Remember when Jason Kidd spilt the Gatorade on the floor to stop the clock or something like that intentionally? What did he do?
Yeah. He spilt the Gatorade on the floor to stop the clock so they can kind of like get a timeout or something like that. That was pretty.
It was creative.
Hey, that was savvy.
That was. I thought about doing that in the game. I was like, I don't know.
You were gonna do that?
I thought about it. I didn't do it, but I thought about it. Right. What I have done before is this, and it's helped me win games too, where like I've ran out of timeouts. My team might have been getting blown out, and I had to use all my timeouts because you don't get that many timeouts in AAU, right? And I had to use them just to stay in the game. Then we get down to the end of the game, and I need a timeout, but I don't have any. I call it anyway, right? And then
you call what?
I call a timeout anyway.
Oh, okay.
And so what happens is once you call a timeout, now they got to shoot technical free throws. 70% of your kids in AAU are not good free throw shooters, right? So I call a timeout, and I get to huddle up with my girls anyway, or guys when I was coaching the boys. I get to huddle up with them anyway. They shoot. I've had times where they miss both free throws. Didn't hurt me none. I got a free timeout. Sometimes they make one, sometimes they make both. But it allows us to get back in, if something's happening, to get back in there. So, you learn all those kind of, but that was a slick move by Jason Kidd. I like that. I really did like that.
Yeah, I definitely did too.
He was always a very cerebral player. I always thought he'd make a great coach. I always thought he'd make a great coach because of how, I will say one thing. It's rare that regardless of the sport, baseball, basketball, it's rare that you see a great player make a great manager or coach or whatever.
Yeah.
It happens, but it's not that you don't see it that often.
That's true. And you know why I think that is? Who did I hear? I don't know. Maybe it was Magic Johnson. I don't know who it was. But great players don't understand everybody.
That's exactly the reason, in my opinion.
Yeah, they don't understand everybody. It's like a great player is like, I can do this. Why can't you?
Right, they expect everyone to be able to perform the way that they can.
This way, how can you not see what I see?
Yeah, exactly. Where your role players, they have to learn how to, first of all, they've got to be very cerebral because they don't have the talent that the superstars have. And then they've got to learn how to play off the superstar player. They've kind of got to be a coach a little bit while they're out there, where the superstar player, they don't have to be. They can use their talent and those type of things. So, yeah, I don't think those great players, I don't know if they'll ever make good coaches, because they just don't have to go through the same studying of the game like your role players do. Your role players really got to study the game. They really got to know the plays. They got to know everything. The great players don't really got to know the plays. All they got to do is, man, give me the ball in my spot.
Get out of the way.
Yeah, the
Right.
players give me the ball.
Right. You know what I mean? So,
Real quick, what are you guys' thoughts on Tim Duncan on the Spurs staff?
That's actually that I will say, much like Jason Kidd, if there was a great player that could succeed being a coach, he'd be one of them. Because I think his nickname was the Big Fundamental, right? Because he did everything proper, he did everything right. If there was a guy, I think he's humble. I think he's a good guy that potentially could be a good head coach.
Yeah. I think that's great, man. And listen, he's the kind of guy that's doing it the right way. Unlike Derek Fisher and Jason Kidd, jump right out of jump out your sneakers into a suit. He's starting off, on the bench behind Coach Pop. You learn all the ins and outs of coaching, and then maybe one day you take over your team. I think that's going to be great. If he can, build himself up to be a coach. Now, the one thing I say is big men. Now, Chris, you're right? The big fundamental. He's a fundamental basketball player. Right. Big men have had a hard time getting coaching gigs in the NBA. Right?
Patrick Ewing couldn't get a job here. I mean, I know he's coaching Georgetown now, but couldn't get a coach job with the Knicks.
Yeah. And I was
trying to get an interview for a while.
Yeah, I was always mad at that. Like, at least they wanted, they was gonna have him coach the G League team, right? After he had already been a coach in Charlotte. He had already been a head coach in Charlotte, or at least an interim head coach in Charlotte, or something like that. And
he coached for the Magic too, didn't he?
Yep, an assistant coach. And then they were gonna have him go and coach the G League team. Maybe he should have taken it and just proved that he could do the job there, and then try to move up the ranks. Sometimes you just got to prove yourself, because he never got a head coaching job at the NBA. Now he had to go coach in college. So maybe he should.
That's a pretty prestigious job, though. I will say that. Georgetown.
I will say this. A lot of times, watching a player's interaction with their coach, you can tell if they would be a good head coach down the line. I think Tim Duncan is a good example of that. If you go back and just watch some film and some huddles and his interaction with the coach and the team, I think Jason Kidd was the same way. And I think you could see it a lot of times on the floor as a player, just the way they interact with the coach in the huddle or when they're on the bench, how engaged they are.
Yeah,
you can see who would end up becoming, or at least trying to become, a head coach down the line.
Yeah. I just want to say in the chat, Chris Gardella, hopefully I said his last name right. He said Herb Williams has the biggest gripe. Talk about a big man who never made it in the head coach. Listen, he played for the Knicks, right?
He coached forever for the Knicks as an assistant.
Yeah, he played for the Knicks, and then he was an assistant coach forever. He was that guy that just stuck around, wasn't going anywhere. Herb Williams.
Oh, I thought he had a lifetime deal.
Listen, I don't.
He was an interim head coach, wasn't he? 1 year.
I think he was 1 year. He was an interim. Yep, he was an interim head coach 1 year. Yeah. Who knows what he's doing? He might be somewhere, punching staples or something like that at the Garden. He might
still in the Garden. Yep.
He might still be around somewhere. My man, Herb Williams. I mean, you know what?
Yeah.
I think, Tony, you and I had this conversation one time.
Yep,
I get that about Herb Williams.
We definitely did.
Yeah.
I was like, he could not. They could not fire him. He went through every regime, every storm. He had all the dirty little secrets.
Everything.
You know everything.
He probably had some pictures of James Dolan or something.
Yeah, he must. He must have some. He must have some dirt on somebody.
And James Dolan finally got those pictures, and now he's like, okay, we can get him out of here now. He must have had something.
He's like one of those guys at a job that he just never moves up. He just stays at his position,
right?
And he's just content. He's like, I don't need to move up to managerial position,
right?
But he just stuck around forever.
Yeah,
it's crazy. Herb Williams.
I do find a little value, right, in having a guy like that. I don't know if you want him taking up a roster spot, but I find some value because when somebody comes in new, this is what Tony and I was talking about. When somebody comes in new, they need someone that can kind of show them the ropes around the building. Like if you had a new job, if everybody's new at the job, everybody's walking around like, what the hell do I do? Like,
one thing I always say, no matter what sport it is, I think consistency in terms of not having too quick of a trigger finger. I'm not talking about Herb Williams. Herb Williams is here for way too long. But when you look at the best teams in baseball, basketball, football, whatever, They don't have a quick trigger finger. They let their guys develop in terms of head coaches, general managers, and I think that is important. I don't think turnover is always a good thing, like firing a guy after 2-3 years. Yeah. And the Jets do that all the time. I mean, the Jets always get rid of the head coach after like 2 or 3 years. And I think consistency is a very important thing in sports.
Yeah. But yeah, it is. And just having a guy, just imagine you come into a team. And you got a vet that's been there for 15 years or whatever it is. And he can just give you all the little ins and outs of who does what, where to go to get this, the things that you want. He can just give you everything. Right? And I see Chris Gardella say, yeah, he's still at the Guard. And he's coaching. I forgot all about that. He's coaching with the Liberty. I forgot all about that.
Oh, Williams. I didn't even know that.
But just having a guy, having someone that can just point you in the right direction of where you got to go and things you got to do and who you got to talk to for this and just how things work, to get people acclimated. And you can have your head coach or assistant coaches do it, but it's different coming from the players, right? Because a player gives you just the ins and outs, right? And those type of things. So having one of those kind of guys around that's just been around for a little while. Is kind of a good thing. Now, if it's coming from a bad regime or it's a guy that has is bad for your culture, then, you don't want him around, So,
right.
Yeah, but look, Herb is still around, still at the Garden.
He's not going anywhere.
That
He's not going anywhere.
Contract he signed was a lifetime deal. They was like, we'll find a job for you.
Exactly. You're going to do something.
Yeah. yeah, it's crazy how long he's been around. I forgot about Herb Williams till you brought him up. But yeah, absolutely. But once again, guys, I just want to say, give Sim another quick plug. Go into the link in the description and sub this guy up. He's got a great channel over there on Nothing But Knicks, and we're gonna do this every Thursday night, even in the dead time of basketball, because trying to develop this show. By the time basketball comes around, this show will be popping.
Yeah, that's right, man. It's gonna be big time. Going to be big time. Yep. I got a picture right
congratulations.
Here.
Keep it up. I'm going to let y'all get some other calls in. Keep doing your thing.
All right.
Simeon,
all right,
give me a call.
All right, Tony, man. Appreciate the call, buddy.
Appreciate it, Tony. All right. I'll talk to you later, Tony. Yep. I got a picture. Listen, Herb, I'm looking at him right now. He looks the exact same. He looks the exact same.
Yeah?
He looks the same.
He hasn't aged. Maybe he's got something on the Knicks. Maybe he's got some kind of spell where he doesn't age. They can't get rid of him. Maybe that's what it is, because he hasn't gotten older. They don't realize how long he's been there.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
They're like, oh yeah, he just got here, and he looks the same.
Yeah. That's funny. Well, Chris, it's kind of late, man.
Yeah. We've been talking for a while. Over 2 hours again. Any questions, shout them out. I always say I like to give people a quick question at the end if they got a question, but absolutely love doing this show. Love talking basketball, whether it's the Knicks or whether it's just about your AAU basketball team and learning about pyramids and 6 and 7s and whatever else you talked about. Yeah. I gotta have you as my personal trainer soon.
Hey, let's do it. You might be hurting afterwards, but let's do it.
Yeah, man. I had an absolute blast tonight. What? Who will start? Okay, there you go, Cushman. Cushman, great subscriber of mine. He says, who will start, Morris or Knox? We've actually talked about this in previous shows.
Yeah.
Originally, I thought Knox, but Sim said Morris, and I think I agree with Sim when I thought about it. I think Morris makes more sense. He's a veteran. It takes a little pressure off of Knox, which I think was a problem for Knox last year. I think Morris will start.
I think so, too. I agree. I think Morris will probably start, at least the beginning of the season. We'll maybe not necessarily the whole year. And I think Knox is going to get his minutes regardless, but I think Morris will start. Yeah, definitely. Delano still says we're gonna get a $10 million contract from MSG. Talk it up, Delano. Talk it up.
Please, Delano. Please,
talk it up.
Please, that'd be amazing. I'll take the $100,000 contract.
Yeah, tell me about it. Really, for real.
Yeah.
Shoot, talk it up. We need it.
Over under 27 wins. That's something we talked about last week too. We both said over. I say between 30 and 36, 37 this year.
Yeah. I'm definitely over, and
40 if everything goes right.
You think so? I'm looking. I think we should be somewhere about 35 wins.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Yeah, between 30 and 35 is probably the consensus.
Yeah.
If everything goes right, I'll say they could be around 500, but everything would have to go right.
That would be so great. That would be so great.
Yeah. Not a Knicks fan, but in my opinion, Peyton, Barrett, Morris, Randle, and Mitch start to begin this season. Terrible shooting lineup.
Yeah, exactly.
That could be the starting lineup. It's either going to be Peyton or DSJ at the point. Barrett's definitely starting at the 2. Mm-hmm. We both agree Morris will probably start. Randle for sure. Mitch will probably start. Yeah, there's a good chance that's the starting lineup. Karen P.
It could be.
It all depends on the opponent. We always say that. Yeah. I think there's certain teams where they'll have certain lineups.
And see, like looking at that lineup that you just said, with Mitch starting, I don't know how you spread the floor, because Randle doesn't shoot well enough from 3 to he's 34% unless he's just better. I don't know how you spread the floor, because Peyton can't shoot, RJ Barrett can't shoot, Mitch can't shoot. Julius Randle is at 34% right now, and then at the 3, Marcus Morris, he can shoot, but I'm not sure there's enough shooting in that lineup. That's why I think I know Bobby Portis plays the power forward and is best at a stretch 4, but I wouldn't say right away that he doesn't maybe start at him, or Taj Gibson doesn't start at that center spot. I
wouldn't be surprised if they do.
Right, Taj, because he can provide that defense and a strong low post presence. And then Bobby Portis, because he can spread the floor. Because now if you have Bobby Portis out there, he shoots 39% from 3. Marcus Morris shoots 37% from 3, or whatever it is. Julius Randle shoots 34% from 3. Now you got 2 guys that really don't knock it down from 3 that well. And, but then you got lanes that can open up for those guys. Lanes can open up for them to penetrate and kick, run the screen and roll, So,
a couple of people in the chat said, or a lot of people saying that RJ should not start, or the question is, why should he definitely be a starter? Maybe he won't start to start the year. Maybe he'll have to earn those minutes. Regardless, if he starts or doesn't start, RJ is going to get minutes. He's going to get 25, 28, 30 minutes. I don't. To be honest with you, I don't care if he starts. I just want him to play.
Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't.
Same thing with Knox. I just want him to play. I want him to get their minutes.
Yeah, I think RJ is going to start, but it doesn't matter to me. I always say starting doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who starts. You know what I'm saying? It matters how many minutes you get, and then when you come down to the end of the game, who's in the game.
Right.
Starting.
A couple people brought up Trier as the guy that would start. In my opinion, if Barrett did not start, I don't think it would be Trier. I think it would be maybe Dotson, someone like that. I don't think it would be Trier. I think Trier's better. I think we both agree. I think Trier's better suited off the bench as that instant offense guy.
Yeah.
But who knows? We're not the head coach.
Yeah. We're gonna let Fizz figure that out, and then we'll critique it.
Yeah, exactly. And Bullock's not playing the first month, but I could see Bullock starting for sure.
Yeah,
that's why I didn't mention him.
Yep, I could see that.
Yeah.
I can see that.
But Sim, man, it is late. I just want to, once again, I want to say thank you to everybody who came into the stream, may have joined the channel. Whoever joined Sim's channel, I really appreciate it. On a not much to talk about basketball night, we still got a lot of people in here, and we appreciate every one of you guys. I appreciate Sim. Like I said, the link in the description below. Love doing this show with him. Please go over there and subscribe. And yeah, man, Sim, thank you for coming on, man. I'm gonna let you close it out.
I appreciate it, and I just want to remind people one more time, if you're interested in opening night, I'm putting the link in the chat right now. You can go ahead and you can put a down payment on tickets. I appreciate everybody for joining me and Chris on this show. It's been a great show. I mean, like you said, I think we got almost 400 people in here on probably the slowest Knick night of the season. So.
Yeah, I mean, people just love basketball, Sam. People love basketball.
Exactly. So, yeah, everybody have a great weekend. I will be on live tomorrow night, though. I don't know what I'm going to talk about yet. I'm going to figure out something. But you can subscribe to me on Twitch if anybody uses Twitch. I'm usually live on Twitch, Twitter, and Facebook.
Oh, I should have put those links in there. I didn't even think about that before. Next time I'll put those links in there.
Yeah, no problem. That's cool. I'm actually putting Twitch in right now.
Yeah, go ahead.
And Twitch. The reason why I say Twitch is because it's kind of the closest to YouTube. Where you can get good, good talk in the chat and stuff like that. And I'll be on tomorrow night. So I just went ahead and put the Twitch link in the chat. Right, it's twitch.tv/nothing-but-Knicks. All right, and then if you want to do Twitter, it's twitter.com/nothing-but-Knicks, facebook.com/nothing-but-Knicks.
Check him out, man. He's gonna be live tomorrow night. And real quick, Kevin asked whoever's the most assists this year. I will go Elfrid Payton.
Yeah, Elfrid Payton. I'm with you right there, Elfrid Payton. Definitely.
Yep. And who will be the best defender? I'll go Mitch.
Yeah, probably Mitch. Mitch played 20, 25 minutes last year and was second in the league in blocks. And if he manages to get 28, 29, 30 minutes this year, he might lead the league in blocks. So
I think he will. If he gets 28, 29, 30 minutes a game, I think he will. Especially what do you have, like 35 or something consecutive games where he had over 2 blocks or something? It was crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. Definitely.
But yeah, guys, we are going to close it out. Thank you to all the Knicks fans who popped in, whoever, whatever fan you are, we appreciate it. And have a good night, guys.
All right, man. We'll see you guys next Thursday.
Next Thursday, we'll be talking some more Knicks.
That's it. Peace. Have a good one.